Immortal Cultivation. I run an internet cafe in another world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 551, Rejection. Then, Bai Luo continued to say to them, "It's late. Everyone should go to bed early." As soon as he finished speaking, he left here. Seeing this, the others looked at each other and nodded slightly in agreement. After all, Bai Luo's recent behavior was rather strange, and everyone was used to it. The next morning, the sun shone playfully through the window onto the bed, and the dazzling light directly reflected the man's closed eyes. As if feeling the dazzling light, the man's eyelids struggled slightly twice, and finally opened his sleepy eyes. Even if he opened his eyes, Bai Luo felt dizzy, and sat up from the bed. As if to make himself more comfortable, Bai Luo shook his head stiffly a few times. Bai Luo stared at his hands in a daze, clenching and loosening. His fingers were in a weak state, without the slightest strength. It had been nearly a quarter of an hour since he got up, but Bai Luo kept staring at his hands, looking unbelievable. I don't know why, he always felt that his body was particularly weak, as if he had been hollowed out by something. But nothing happened yesterday. He still rested after training as usual, and there was no problem at all. So what is the situation now? Thinking of this, Bai Luo's brows were suddenly knitted into a big shape, almost sticking together. Just at this time, the voice of the elder came from the yard. Bai Luo raised his head suddenly and put on the clothes next to him. The door opened with a creak, and Bai Luo staggered towards the elder and stood in front of the elder panting. Bai Luo's sudden action made the elder a little dumbfounded, and he immediately asked after reacting, "Bai Luo, what's wrong? Do you feel uncomfortable?" Bai Luo shook his head, but still told him everything about his weak body. The elder didn't say anything at first, but stretched out his hand and patted Bai Luo's shoulder, saying teasingly, "Ahem, young people should pay attention to their health recently. Now they are weak, what should they do when they are old in the future?" But after patting Bai Luo's shoulder, the elder was stunned. He clearly felt the trembling of Bai Luo's body, and immediately felt something was wrong. For a young man like him, even if he was weak, it was impossible for him to be unable to stand steadily. After realizing that there might be something wrong, the elder silently chanted a few words and immediately used his spiritual power to explore Bai Luo's body. He was shocked when he checked. The elder, who was smiling just now, suddenly looked solemn and stood up straight. It was obvious that the energy in Bai Luo's body was not right. Especially after the input of spiritual power, this feeling became more obvious. It seemed that there was a mutually repulsive force in Bai Luo's body, and the opponent was running around in his body, which caused his body to be particularly weak now. But everything was going well yesterday, so when did Bai Luo get hit? Such a thing happened at this critical moment, and the opponent could do such a thing in secret, and no one could guarantee that he would not do something later. But should Bai Luo's physical problem be solved now? The elder subconsciously rubbed his chin with his hand and fell into deep thought. This was the first time he encountered such a tricky situation. The biggest problem now is that this repulsive force appeared suddenly and he had no direct solution. And if he was not careful, no one could guarantee that it would not cause irreversible damage to Bai Luo's body. Unable to think of a better solution, the elder took out a small porcelain bottle from the storage bag and motioned Bai Luo to stretch out his hand. Bai Luo nodded and stretched out his hand directly. Then a small black pill appeared in his hand. The elder clenched his fist and put it to his mouth and coughed awkwardly. "Ahem, I don't have a better way at the moment. You take a pill and have a good rest for the time being. I will look for relevant classics to see if there are any clues." Hearing this, Bai Luo nodded palely. It was just a few words, and at this time, even Bai Luo was a little shaky when he was sitting. Seeing Bai Luo's situation, the elder reached out and helped him to rest. However, on the way, he met Yangzu. Yangzu was smart and saw that something was wrong with Bai Luo at a glance and immediately asked worriedly, "Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus underscore." What's going on with Bai Luo? The elder looked up at Bai Luo and immediately told him everything about his situation. Gao Yangzu, who was not looking very good, suddenly darkened her face and looked at Bai Luo with worry. Gao Yangzu hurried forward to help Bai Luo to rest and then took care of him attentively. It seemed that she noticed that Bai Luo's face was covered with cold sweat, so she immediately brought a basin of hot water and carefully wiped Bai Luo's body. Gao Yangzu was not idle afterwards and immediately went to look for prescriptions and information. The papers in the room were scattered in every corner. Gao Yangzu clenched her right fist and knocked on her forehead. Her thoughts were like a tangled thread which could not be cut or cleaned. She read almost all the prescriptions and information, but she didn't find any information from them. After Bai Luo got into trouble, the people in the inn seemed to have lost their backbone, and the whole space was filled with a bad atmosphere. Finally, Chen Fang couldn't stand this atmosphere anymore, so he stood up suddenly and yelled, "No, we can't just sit here and wait for death. Then what should we do now?" Li Bo asked in a low voice. "If it doesn't work, let's go out and find some herbs. Maybe Brother Bai can use them. But have you forgotten that Brother Bai told us not to sneak out? What's the situation now? Rules are dead, but people are alive. Besides, we can't just watch Brother Bai become like this." Li Bo hesitated for 2 seconds and finally nodded firmly. "Okay, I'll listen to you. Let's go out." As soon as the voice fell, the two were about to set off. But just as they were about to go out, a tall figure leaned against the door. More importantly, although the other party was pale, the look he gave them was sharp. Chen Bo and Li Fang were stunned and immediately went up to support Bai Luo with worry. "Brother Bai, you need to rest now. Don't run around. It's not good for your recovery." Yes. "Come, drink a glass of water first." Bai Luo picked up the teacup and drank it in one gulp. Then he got straight to the point. "There's nothing wrong with my body. Don't act rashly. Stay at the inn." Chen Fang and the other man listened to Bai Luo scolding obediently and huddled up like a quail. Chapter 552, Accidental Injury. It turned out that the discussion between Chen Fang and the other person was heard by Bai Luo, who had just come out, and he came to stop the two people directly. The situation outside is chaotic now, and no one knows if they will encounter any problems if they go out. Before Bai Luo could say more, there was a sudden burst of noise from outside, as if a lot of people were making trouble. His face was already pale, and now it turned pale. Bai Luo coughed and signaled Chen Bo to call the elder down. At this moment, even a fool can see that someone is making trouble outside. But now his body is not suitable for handling it, so let the elder take charge for the time being. There was a sound of footsteps, and the elder strode out. As soon as he went out, he saw a crowd of people outside. Immediately, the elder knew that he could not solve this situation by himself, and it was not convenient for him to come out now. Exhaling heavily, the elder directly used the sound transmission technique to call a few disciples and asked them to be responsible for solving the problem. But in the middle, both sides could not help but fight, especially one of the elder's disciples, who failed to control his strength and accidentally injured several ordinary people. At that moment, the disciple's face was so ugly. It was well known that cultivators could not attack ordinary people without reason. If he did it now, it might cause some trouble to the elders. However, after he took action, the situation outside was temporarily under control. However, the disciple did not dare to be careless at all. He immediately reported all the situations here to his master without hiding anything. As a result, the elder's face was so dark that it was scary, but he could not say anything. After pacing back and forth twice, the elder finally decided to hide it from Bai Luo. Bai Luo's health was the most important thing at the moment. If he thought too much, his physical condition would definitely be worse. But now he had to find a way to control the situation. The group of people outside were a group of mad dogs that bit people randomly and might show up again at any time. If he guessed correctly, he would definitely use his disciple's action as an excuse. When the elder thought of this, he felt a headache. However, although he kept it a secret, the people outside would not give him this opportunity. Before he could take any measures again, There was another commotion outside, saying that their inn had deliberately let people beat people up, which was authoritarianism. The noise outside was so loud that even Bai Luo, who had just sat down, could not ignore it. Bai Luo waved his hand and motioned Chenbo to go and find out. After a cup of tea, Chenbo immediately came back and told him what had just happened. Bai Luo exploded immediately. He did not expect the elder to handle the matter in this way, and the other party kept it from him. And judging from the situation outside, the other party was clearly taking advantage of the situation. Taking a deep breath, Bai Luo forced himself to walk to the side of the elder despite his uncomfortable body. After all, he could not hold back his anger, and Bai Luo blamed the elder a few words. The elder had no choice but to listen helplessly, and this time it was indeed his fault, and he was tricked by the other party. Looking at the elder's regretful look, Bai Luo could not help but feel sorry for him. He knew that the disciple did not do it on purpose. Bai Luo waved his hand and spoke weakly. "I'll take care of this matter." As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Luo walked to the gate. As soon as he came out, he saw the men who surrounded them again. The other party was shouting miserably, as if Bai Luo and his men had done something against the will of heaven and earth. If it hadn't happened to Bai Luo, he would even sympathize with the tall men in front of him. After all, men don't cry easily, but the other party could be so sad. Bai Luo waved his hand and signaled the other party to be quiet. "Hello, everyone. I'm the person in charge of the inn. You can tell me anything." The other party just snorted coldly, without even giving Bai Luo a look. Bai Luo paused slightly and immediately apologized to the other party with great sincerity, but the other party didn't accept it at all and kept shouting, "Liar, you are all liars. I don't care, you bastards. Get out of here quickly. If it weren't for you, my family wouldn't be injured so badly. You are the murderer. Get out of here quickly. In a word, you leave quickly, otherwise don't blame us for being rude." Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 + BOOK_BAR first published this novel. Listening to the other parties shouting, Bai Luo was also helpless. Yes, they were indeed in the wrong this time. After all, no matter what, it is unreasonable for a cultivator to attack ordinary people. Besides, it is normal for the other party to be so angry after being beaten. Bai Luo had no other choice but to keep apologizing, and then directly took out a lot of gold coins. After seeing the gold coins, the troublemaker's attitude softened a lot. Seeing that there was a chance, Bai Luo immediately said a few more good words, which temporarily stabilized the other party's emotions. "Humph, you are sensible. Let's just let it go this time. If it's the next time, we will report it to the police directly." Bai Luo had no better way except to keep agreeing. After finally solving this matter, Bai Luo seemed to have thought of something. He immediately walked to the side of the elder and directly expressed his thoughts. "Elder, your disciples are not suitable to stay for the time being. Why don't you let them leave first?" The elder, who was in the wrong, nodded and immediately asked the disciples to leave tactfully. Most of the disciples listened to the elders, but there were still 2 who were disobedient and refused to leave. They wanted to stay with the elders. These 2 disciples seemed to have nails on their feet and just stood there motionless. Listening to the movement beside him, Bai Luo sighed helplessly. From the elder's side just now, it was obvious that these 2 were tough guys. It was probably difficult for him. Bai Luo looked up and observed the 2 disciples. His eyes suddenly lit up. These 2 people were very burly. Maybe they could help if they stayed. At present, the inn was indeed short of a few helpers, which was a good thing. Bai Luo stepped forward and patted the elder's shoulder, indicating that he didn't need to say anything. Then Bai Luo learned about the 2 people's situation and found out that one was called Lei Yi and the other was called Lei Ming, and they were brothers. On the morning of the next day, the change happened again. It turned out that the group of people who made trouble yesterday came again. The other party blocked the door of the inn very arrogantly and carried the patient out directly. The few people who were beaten were also very smart. They groaned in pain from time to time, and with the wounds on their faces, they looked particularly pitiful. Since ancient times, the hearts of the public have always been inclined to the poor. In particular, the person in charge kept talking there, mobilizing the emotions of the crowd, and suddenly there was a commotion at the door of the inn again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 553, Signing the Contract. Listening to the voices outside demanding compensation, the people in the inn were furious. They had never seen such a shameless person, who was asking for so much, after receiving the compensation. Even Bai Luo's face was not very good. No wonder the other party agreed so easily yesterday. It turned out to be for today. But before he could say anything, Lei Ming had already rushed out, unable to bear it anymore. The burly figure stood at the door gloomily, and with that ferocious expression, the troublemaker dared not say a word. The people around did not buy it, and they were still shouting beside them. The man's face was almost as smiling as a morning face, and he was still muttering in his heart, "Oh my god, stop talking." He saw the other party's fist as big as a sandbag. If it hit him, he would probably have to lie in bed for at least 10 years. Oh my god, when did this inn invite such a person? The muscles on his body were arched one after another like stones, and the lines of his body were extremely obvious. At first glance, he was a representative of strength. Seeing the troublemaker shrink like a quail, Bai Luo couldn't help but smile slightly. Ahem, he dared to come here with such courage. But since the other party was frightened, the matter would be easier to solve now. Ahem, I already paid you the compensation yesterday. What's going on today? Hearing this, the troublemaker tried to straighten his chest and make himself look more imposing. No, you gave too little. All the money was given to the doctor yesterday, but now everyone in our family is still sick. How are we going to live in the future? The people around him echoed, scolding the innkeepers for being conscienceless. The inn was so popular every day, but now they treated the people they injured like this, which was simply shameless. Listening to the other party's words, Bai Luo exhaled heavily. He understood that the other party came prepared, and if it could not be properly resolved, the matter would only get worse. Especially when doing business, the appearance is important. If people continue to make trouble, I'm afraid that the business of the inn will not be much better in the future. After thinking about it, Bai Luo also came up with a good idea. After 2 seconds of silence, Bai Luo immediately asked directly, "So what do you want?" "It's very simple. I want you to be responsible. We are poor people. Now we have no way to live. How about this? I will give you 5% of the inn's income in the future. This will be enough for you to live. How about it?" When the man heard this, his face was so happy. Bai Luo stretched out his finger, paused, and continued. "But I have a condition. You can't make trouble again in the future." The man nodded repeatedly like a chicken pecking at rice, and kept making promises. "No problem, as long as what you say is true. A gentleman's word is as good as a horse. Words are not enough. Let's sign a contract." Okay. At this point, the matter came to an end, and the other party left directly. After confirming that the other party really left, Bai Luo breathed a sigh of relief. He turned around and looked at the friend standing beside him and smiled. As if seeing the fatigue of everyone, Bai Luo directly organized a dinner to reward everyone. After that, everyone went back to rest after a big meal. The next morning, after waking up, Bai Luo unexpectedly found that something was wrong with the module on the ground. He slowly squatted down and reached out to touch it. Unexpectedly, he was shocked instantly. How could the ground module become soft for no reason? Bai Luo's eyes became serious, and he immediately contacted the relevant personnel to inquire, but the other party said that the underground cattle had started to operate. This is not good news. Bai Luo was shocked when he heard it. This sentence obviously meant that there was going to be an earthquake. At this time, Gao Yangzu noticed Bai Luo's facial expression at a distance, and walked towards him. "What's wrong with you? Why are you so melancholy?" Gao Yangzu asked with a puzzled look on her face, and stretched out a hand to put on Bai Luo's shoulder. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 + BOOK_BAR first published this novel Bai Luo gently patted the back of Yangzu's hand and said sadly, "The template on the ground has become soft for no apparent reason. I have just contacted the relevant personnel, and they said that the underground bull has started to work." "What does that mean?" Yao Yangzu was puzzled and asked. "I guess an earthquake is going to happen." After hearing this, Yao Yangzu was shocked and at a loss for a moment. "Don't stand here for now. Let's go out and inform the people living around to minimize casualties and losses." Bai Luo's words made sense. Yao Yangzu nodded and greeted a few people. Then she followed Bai Luo out and knocked on doors one by one. With a knock on the door, someone inside opened the door. When he saw Bai Luo and others, he was surprised. He looked up and down at Bai Luo in front of him and frowned. "I don't think I have ever seen you before. Who are you?" The person who opened the door was an old woman. Facing the other party's doubts, Bai Luo didn't know how to explain it for a while, but the situation was too urgent. The most important thing was to tell everyone about the earthquake. "Don't worry about who I am. The earthquake is coming soon. Hurry up and pack up." Bai Luo Wu assassin was already anxious, but the other party curled his lips calmly, as if he thought Bai Luo was a fool. They didn't believe that anyone could predict an earthquake, and it was calm at the moment, which didn't look like an earthquake at all. "Young man, are you here to coax the children? You didn't tell me who you are, and you told me directly that there was an earthquake. No one would believe it. If you don't have anything else, go first. I still have to cook for my grandson later." After the old woman finished speaking, she closed the door of her house. The distance between the door and Bai Luo's face seemed to be only 1 millimeter, and it almost hit Bai Luo's face. Bai Luo and others had good intentions, but they didn't expect to be frustrated. But these were not what Bai Luo cared about. What he feared most was that the loss was too heavy. Without saying anything more, after looking at Yangzu, several people knocked on the door of the second house again. But the response they got was still the same. No one believed them at all. After wandering around several alleys, Bai Luo and the others were very tired, but most of the fatigue was psychological. After all, no one believed them. Bai Luo stood there with a sad face, looking around, feeling helpless. "Our words are not enough, and no one will believe us." "I wouldn't believe it either." Yao Yangzu sighed helplessly and said, "If they don't believe us, there is no other way. Everyone should prepare to deal with the upcoming earthquake." Chapter 554, The Chosen Son. Prepare more food, drinks, and elixirs. As Bai Luo spoke, Yao Yangzu and the others scattered and went to look for what they needed. Bai Luo did nothing else. He did not give up and knocked on the doors of several people. Even if they did not believe it, he had to tell them about it. After a long time, it was already afternoon. Bai Luo and the others were ready and were in an open space, waiting for the earthquake to come. However, there were not many people outside, and almost all of them were resting at home, which made Bai Luo very worried. Boom. At this time, a muffled sound came from the sky. Bai Luo and the others were instantly alert. As expected, there was a violent shaking. "The earthquake is coming. Everyone run." Bai Luo shouted frantically to the crowd, and the people realized that what Bai Luo said was true. No matter whether they were outside or at home, they all ran to the largest open space, but the earthquake was unforgiving, and some people did not have time to run out. The surrounding houses, that were not well constructed, collapsed directly. In an instant, dust flew everywhere, but the earthquake did not stop, and continued to shake violently. Seeing all the houses around collapsed, Bai Luo's heart ached. He had done his best to do what he could, but the people did not believe what Bai Luo said. Boom. Boom. There were loud noises, and the earthquake reached its most terrifying moment. Yao Yangzu was a little panicked and immediately hugged Bai Luo's arm. Bai Luo instinctively protected Yao Yangzu in his arms to shield her from the dust. "Don't be afraid, we should be fine where we are." Seeing Yao Yangzu panic, Bai Luo spoke to comfort her. "But those people can't run away." Yao Yangzu's voice trembled, and tears had already slid down her cheeks when she said this. Bai Luo did not respond. At this moment, he could only look at the scene in front of him and try his best to protect the people around him. The earthquake passed quickly, but the flying dust needed to fall slowly. In addition to some panic sounds, there was silence nearby, which made people feel creepy. Bai Luo felt sorry, but also a little angry. He was angry that no one listened to him, otherwise nothing would have happened to anyone. Perhaps this was their own fault. Bai Luo knew that he shouldn't have such thoughts, but this was also instinctive. He stood there, at a loss. The ground stopped shaking, and the living people ran back frantically, as if they wanted to go back to find their relatives. Bai Luo was slow to come back to his senses, and was a little stuck in a dead end. Seeing that Bai Luo didn't say anything, Gao Yangzu didn't make any moves, but just tried her best to comfort Bai Luo. Seeing this, others were even more helpless. This kind of natural disaster could not be stopped by anyone. Before this, Bai Luo and others had already built some tents in the surrounding open space, just to have a place to stay. Everyone was hiding deep in the ground, but heard bursts of crying coming from outside. Bai Luo didn't say a word, and walked out of the tent directly. Seeing this, Gao Yangzu followed closely, fearing that Bai Luo would be too sad. This disaster caused many casualties, and most families were broken up. The noisy crying included the voices of the elderly and children, which was particularly miserable. Bai Luo couldn't bear to watch such a scene. Save them. Save them? Upon hearing what Bai Luo said, Chen Fang and Li Bo were shocked. Why? They didn't listen to us. If something happened, it was their own fault, right? That's right. They didn't trust us first. Why should we be so kind? Saving people won't get us any benefits. Chen Fang and Li Bo tried to stop Bai Luo, but Bai Luo had already decided, and there was no room for maneuver. People still need to be saved. Don't say anything. If you don't go, I'll go by myself. After saying that, Bai Luo walked towards the ruins. Gao Yangzu glanced at Chen Fang and Li Bo with an embarrassed look in her eyes, and immediately followed Bai Luo. The generals behind him looked at Bai Luo at the moment, and there was no other way, so they could only follow Bai Luo to save people. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda, so there is no need to worry about it. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus underscore. Everyone rescued people and let the injured people temporarily enter the tent to rest. Then they called many young people to dig people together. Soon, everyone rescued some people buried below, some alive, and some unfortunately died. There was crying all around, but Bai Luo could not care about it at the moment. They tried their best and many people were helped. At this time, many people realized that what Bai Luo reminded them was true, but they did not believe it, which led to such a situation. Unexpectedly, Bai Luo brought people to help them again, and they were grateful to Bai Luo from the bottom of their hearts. All the things they thought of Bai Luo before disappeared in an instant. This area is not very large, and there are many people, so Bai Luo and others quickly completed the task, sat aside to rest, and distributed the food prepared in advance to many people. It was already dawn, and Bai Luo was a little tired, but Yangzu, who was beside him, looked at him, and was a little stunned. She felt that Bai Luo was the most handsome at this moment, and even the smell of sweat on Bai Luo's body became a man's smell. I really didn't misjudge you. You are really smart and kind-hearted. Gao Yangzu smiled, drank a sip of water, and began to praise. Bai Luo was a little confused when he heard it. He looked at Yangzu's delicate cheeks, and couldn't come back to his senses. What are you looking at? Bai Luo's eyes made Yangzu a little shy. She frowned and slapped Bai Luo directly. Only then did Bai Luo react and smiled foolishly. Isn't this what I should do? You are right. No one will believe that kind of words. After all, we can't just say it. Ignorance is not a crime. Since we have seen people suffering, we can't just ignore it. Bai Luo breathed a sigh of relief, obviously a little tired. Seeing this, Gao Yangzu took Bai Luo's arm and nodded. You are worthy of being the chosen one. At this time, the elder walked towards Bai Luo with his hands behind his back, and said with a smile, the chosen one? Bai Luo was puzzled by the words from the elder. He didn't know why the elder said that he was the chosen one. Elder, are you talking about me? Following Bai Luo's words, the elder nodded meaningfully, but did not give any further explanation. This made Bai Luo even more confused. Gao Yangzu, who was standing by, looked back and forth between Bai Luo and the elder, not knowing what to do. The elder turned around and was about to leave. Bai Luo immediately stood up and stopped the elder. Elder, please tell me why I'm the chosen one? What does this mean? Chapter 555, Killing the Bandits. Bai Luo asked, insisting on getting to the bottom of it. You'll know later. Don't ask me now. I don't know how to answer you. The elder said as he walked forward, not intending to tell Bai Luo at all. Bai Luo and Ao Hangzhu looked at the elder's figure, confused. The night gradually fell, and the moon rose as usual, but this place was different from the past. The surrounding area had become quiet, but the people lost their houses in one day, and some even lost their relatives. They must have been living a miserable life. Oh no, many people have fainted here. At this time, Chen Fang's voice came from a distance. Bai Luo immediately ran in that direction after hearing it. When he arrived, he found that many people had fallen to the ground unconscious. What's going on? Bai Luo was puzzled and asked. I don't know. We found them fainted when we came here. No matter how we called them, they couldn't wake up. But they are not in danger of life and have no injuries. Libo was also puzzled and said with a frown. Bai Luo didn't say anything. He just squatted down and started to check. Who knew that several people on the ground had a lot of red chicken pox on their bodies? It looks like a plague. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Bai Luo did not waste time and rushed to treat the patients, but the virus spread too quickly. Not long after, someone fainted on the other side. Bai Luo's eyes revealed a trace of fear, and he quickly asked Ao Hangzhu and others to cover their mouths and noses with clothes. Everyone take precautions. Bai Luo reminded, and Chen Fang also went to tell other people about this to prevent more people from being infected. Libo, go and see if there are any other infected people. Bring them all here. Okay. Libo went to do it immediately after hearing this. After Bai Luo's treatment, several people did wake up, but they still couldn't leave the tent. But what made Bai Luo sad was that other people were sent here one after another, and the space in the tent was limited, and there was no place to put so many patients. Bai Luo felt helpless, looking at the patients around him, and sighed. Everyone, help and take some people to the open space outside, and tell everyone not to gather or come here. Bai Luo said, and everyone immediately went to do it. Soon, some patients were taken to the open space nearby, and a tent was set up. But who knew that before they could stay quiet for long, a group of people came from a distance. Seeing this, Bai Luo immediately stopped them. There is a plague here, you can't come over. Originally thought they were just ordinary people, but who knew they pushed Bai Luo away and took out a dagger to point at everyone. What bullshit plague? Today is the day you die. Take out all the money you have. After saying that, many Libo behind the man rushed towards the patients and took out weapons to kill people. At this time, Bai Luo realized that they were not ordinary people, but bandits. Seeing this, Lei Ming and others were shocked and hurried to stop them. Lei Ming was extraordinary and got rid of some of the bandits who robbed, but there were too many people on the other side, and Lei Ming and his people could not resist at all. In a short time, Bai Luo held a long sword in his hand, standing at the front, dealing with many bandits. Half an hour later, looking at the bandits surrounding him one by one, even Bai Luo, who was calm, couldn't help but twitch his mouth slightly. The strength of the other group of people is basically not very good, and I don't know who gave them the courage to occupy the land here. However, although the strength is not very strong, the large number of people is a bit troublesome. Especially these people are like flies, which delays their time. After taking a deep breath, Bai Luo opened his eyes again, and his hands moved faster. After a few swishes, only to hear screams one after another, and saw 4 or 5 bandits paddling in the air like kites with broken strings. And Bai Luo did not relax, and flashed to the side of the elder. Without saying too much, get straight to the point. Elder, you are responsible for taking Lei Ming and others to chase these people, so as not to become a future trouble. The elder nodded to show that he understood. Read the error-free version at 69 Shuba. 6 = 9 + SHU_BAR is the first to publish this novel. It turned out that just now, when the other party saw Bai Luo's great power, they wanted to call for help and ran away so fast. But how could Bai Luo give them this opportunity? He directly asked the elders to intercept. The elder coughed and immediately took aiming and others to intercept. The elder left, but Bai Luo was not idle. Ahem, Miss Aoyang, let's go save people. Aoyang Zhu put away the sword in her hand and nodded her head in agreement. In a moment, they were divided into two teams, and both sides acted separately. It must be said that the fighting power of the elders was also relatively strong. Even before a cup of tea, a group of people on the ground around were lying on their backs, and groans of pain rang out one after another. That's right, these other people intercepted by the third elder and others. The other party is basically a show-off. Most of them are ordinary people, and they fell down before they had a few moves under the hands of the elders. Bai Luo was not surprised to see this scene, but he still silently gave the elders a thumbs up. If the elders couldn't deal with these few pieces of trash, I'm afraid Bai Luo would give them a middle finger. There were more and more bangs, and more bandits fell down. In the narrow space, nothing could be heard, except the painful wailing. As for the elders, they could not see anything except some phantoms. Even though all his men were about to fall, the bandit leader still had no intention of admitting defeat. The bandit leader waved his hands and spoke loudly at the same time. Ahem, big brother, your strength is very strong. Definitely this. As he said that, the bandit leader directly gave a thumbs up, paused, and continued. Join our team. The position of second in command will be given to you. No, the first in command. I will give you the position of the first in command directly. As long as you enter our mountain stronghold, you will eat and drink delicious food, a fairy-like life. Whatever wine you want, you can have it. Listening to the words coming out of the bandit leader's mouth, the elders couldn't help but smile helplessly. He also didn't know where the so-called leader got the courage to speak so arrogantly here. Haha, now he is trying to bribe him. He is really unrepentant. It seems that the bandit leader did not give up and continued to work hard, seeing that the three elders would not give up. To be honest, let alone the treatment of the village chief, even if you really want to be the village chief, there is no problem. Besides, our village is famous for its good welfare. You just need to help me deal with these disobedient people, and then all the wealth you get will be given to you. You promise not to suffer any loss. Listening to the bandit leader's exaggerated promises, not to mention others, even Bai Luo, who is calm, couldn't help but laugh and cry. Are all the bandit leaders nowadays so simple-minded? Chapter 556, Domineering Bai Luo. It's fine if he doesn't run away when he can't win, but now he's still talking nonsense. It seems that the bandit leader is probably a simple-minded person with strong limbs. On this side, Bai Luo and Aoyang Zhu's actions were not slow. They quickly transferred the injured people to a safe area and fed them a pill. Just after feeding, they heard the bandit leader's exaggerated flattery and couldn't help but shake their heads slightly. In fact, sometimes people are forced to become bandits, especially in this era. It turned out that just now, Bai Luo grabbed a bandit's subordinate and asked him about it. It turned out that most people did this because they couldn't get enough food. For example, this one of his subordinates was said to have run to the mountains because of famine, met a few bandits, and joined them in a daze. Let's not talk about anything else. As long as his family has more or less food, at least he won't starve. Looking at these ragged and haggard people, Bai Luo sighed silently. Alas, they are all a group of poor people. If they were not forced to do anything else, who would go down this road of no return? Thinking of this, Bai Luo's eyes darkened slightly. He knew that he could not just sit back and watch. Bai Luo clapped his hands, and the applause instantly attracted everyone's attention, and they all looked straight at him. Facing everyone's gaze, Bai Luo was not nervous at all. He smiled calmly and spoke slowly. I know that you did not choose to become bandits. So, in the future, your meals will be provided by my inn. After a pause, Bai Luo continued. But I have a condition. In the future, you can no longer do evil things. I don't want something like today to happen again. After hearing Bai Luo's words, the bandits around couldn't help but waver. After all, if there were better options, they didn't want to be bandits. Besides, if the inn provided meals, they could live a better life, and they burned and looted here every day. Look, a large number of people nodded in agreement. Before they could speak, the bandit leader shouted, "Impossible, we will never surrender. Everyone knows that your tricks are just to deceive my brothers." The bandit leader paused, staring at Aoyangzu with his eyes, as if he had seen the most beautiful thing in the world. The bandit leader reached out and touched the corner of his mouth. "Beauty, beauty, I didn't expect that there would be such a stunning beauty on the road in this world." The bandit leader raised his eyebrows slightly, thinking that he had made the most handsome expression, and said in a frivolous way, "Beauty, why do you have to follow this group of people in the wind and sun? Just be my wife, eat delicious food, drink spicy food, and have everything you want." Hearing this, Bai Luo and others took a half step back at the same time, and silently lit a candle of sympathy for the bandit leader in their hearts. Why tease Aoyangzu when you can tease anyone else? Isn't this courting death? At this time, Aoyangzu's eyebrows were tightly knitted into a Sichuan character, and her face was almost as dark as the bottom of a pot. It has been a long time since someone looked at her with such disgusting eyes. She really wanted to dig out this person's eyes. After a long time without getting a response from Aoyangzu, the bandit leader was still talking to himself, and even swearing in the middle. Unable to control her temper, Aoyangzu dodged directly. When she saw the movement, a fist appeared on the bandit leader's face, and his face was already distorted. In an instant, the bandit leader who was originally standing well flew into the air, and with a bang, he smashed a hole directly on the ground. Looking at the scene in front of them, Bai Luo and the others couldn't help but reach a consensus in their minds. Never offend a woman, especially a woman with strong strength, otherwise you will die without knowing how. As for the few bandits who still persisted, seeing that their boss was in such a miserable state, they sneaked away, while everyone was not paying attention, leaving the boss lying there alone. At this point, the crisis was officially resolved. Even after many years, there were no more bandits in this area, and the local people were extremely grateful to Bai Luo and his friends. Of course, this is a story for later. Later, when he returned to the inn, Bai Luo accidentally discovered that Aoyangzu seemed to have some inexplicable scars on her body. Blue-black scars suddenly appeared on Zukaru's fair skin, which looked extremely dazzling. As if noticing Bai Luo's sneaky gaze, Aoyangzu's eyes widened. Still unable to suppress his inner worry, Bai Luo asked in a low voice, "Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 + BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. Aoyangzu, what's the matter with the scars on your body?" But no matter how he asked, Aoyangzu didn't say anything, and didn't even give him a glance, and turned away directly. Aoyangzu's magical operation directly confused Bai Luo, and the confusion was directly presented on his face. Bai Luo stretched out his hand and scratched the back of his head, and at the same time, his worries became more and more intense. After all, he was still worried, so he asked the elders again, and without exception, everyone's answer was that they didn't know. In desperation, Bai Luo returned to his room and found a large amount of golden wound medicine. Then, Bai Luo flashed in front of Aoyangzu and stuffed the package of golden wound medicine into Aoyangzu's hand. Aoyangzu was stunned for 2 seconds and spoke with a somewhat unfriendly face. "What is this? Golden wound medicine? I think it should be useful for your wound. I don't need this thing, just take it back." As she said that, Aoyangzu stuffed the package into Bai Luo's hand again. "Besides, you know my physical fitness, so there is really no need to do this." Bai Luo didn't say anything at first, and pushed it in front of Aoyangzu again, and said in an extremely domineering manner, "Your injuries must be treated with medicine, and we have known each other for so long, so I will definitely not sit idly by. If you still don't want it, I will apply the medicine to you in person later." Listening to Bai Luo's domineering declaration, Aoyangzu's face was still as calm as water, as if nothing had happened. But her heart was not as calm as she appeared to be. It was as if a hole had been opened in her heart, and warm water slowly flowed out from it, and a warm feeling filled her body. It seemed that no one had cared about her so much for a long time. Especially looking at the tall figure in front of her, Aoyangzu couldn't help but slightly increase the pressure in her hand holding the golden wound medicine. Hey, this guy's really very different from before. At this moment, Gao Yangzu thought so in her heart. At the same time, she was also thinking about another thing, but according to the current situation, she didn't want to expose that thing as soon as possible. Chapter 557, Bai Luo's Guardian. After that, Gao Yangzu went to rest. At the same time, Bai Luo stopped talking. After all, he also had something important to do. This is how the day went. The next day, the morning mist had not yet dissipated, and the distant sky was dotted with white dots. The morning sun was like a shy little girl, half hidden from the clouds. Unknowingly, another hour had passed. Early this morning, Bai Luo got up to practice. After Bai Luo finished a set of punches, he put his hands on his abdomen and let out a long breath. It has been a long time since he had experienced such a quiet morning, and Bai Luo felt a little uncomfortable. Bai Luo clenched and released his hands, and there was a crackling sound on his hands. After thinking about it, Bai Luo still wanted to stretch his muscles and bones. But if he was alone, it would be too monotonous. Bai Luo's eyes rolled around, and he did what he thought, and went directly to find Ao Yangzu and others. Chen Fang and Li Bo had no problem, but Ao Yangzu disagreed. No, it's not that he disagrees, but since Bai Luo invited her, the other party has not responded. At first, Bai Luo thought that the other party was not there, but later he asked other people, and they all said that Ao Yangzu had not gone out. After thinking about it, Bai Luo reached out and knocked on the door again and asked in a low voice, Ao Yangzu, are you there? I want to ask if you are going out to exercise. However, Ao Yangzu inside did not agree, and Ao Yangzu opened her mouth at this time, but her voice was so low that it could not be heard at all. After asking several more times, there was still no response in the room. Especially considering Ao Yangzu's daily personality, even a fool could realize that something went wrong inside. Once he realized this, especially considering what happened in the previous few days, Bai Luo could not stand it anymore and kicked it in a hurry. With a plop, the door of the room opened. It was just a small wooden door. How could it be difficult for a cultivator like Bai Luo to open it? But the scene in the room suddenly made his pupils shrink, and his pupils trembled. The woman collapsed to the ground. Her face was pale, her lips were bloodless, and her forehead was covered with cold sweat. Even before getting close, Bai Luo could see Ao Yangzu's sweaty back. Without saying much, Bai Luo quickly stepped forward and immediately stretched out his hand to help Ao Yangzu up. At the same time, he secretly cried out in his heart. Fortunately he came in time today, otherwise, with Ao Yangzu's condition, he didn't know when she would be able to get up. A little bit of relief certainly couldn't resist the worry in his heart. Bai Luo's tone was not to mention how worried he was, and he asked in a low voice, Zua, what's wrong with you? Ao Yangzu didn't say anything at first. She looked up at Bai Luo and secretly adjusted her breath. After noticing that her body's breath was not so chaotic, Ao Yangzu exhaled heavily and then waved her hand weakly, indicating that she was fine. But Bai Luo was not someone who was easy to fool. He knew that Ao Yangzu always loved to hold on. How could the situation in front of him be said to be fine? If he hadn't come up in time today, Ao Yangzu might have been lying on the ground for a long time. Now she actually told him that she was fine. If he hadn't seen that the other person was a woman, he would have slapped her directly with this breath. After suppressing the anger in his heart, Bai Luo spoke again. Damn it, how can you be fine with your current state? What's the matter with you now? The more Bai Luo talked, the more anxious he became. What was he angry about? He was angry that the person in front of him had never taken his body seriously. As if he had noticed the change in Bai Luo's tone, Ao Yangzu exhaled heavily and then stuttered to explain the matter again. It turned out that just an hour ago, Ao Yangzu tried to break through her current cultivation, but failed. Instead, her body was backfired, and this happened. However, her cultivation has not changed for the time being, and is in a stagnant stage. Hearing this, Bai Luo didn't say much, but carefully let Ao Yangzu lie on the bed, and covered her with a quilt. I understand. I'll go find out if there's anything that can help you with your current situation. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Luo noticed Yangzu's dry lips and carefully fed her some water. Later, Bai Luo was not idle either. He quickly ran to his room to find a lot of herbs and moved them directly to Yangzu's room. Just now, Bai Luo remembered that someone seemed to have told him that fumigating with herbs seemed to improve the situation of stagnant cultivation. Bai Luo's execution ability has always been quite strong. Not long after, Yangzu's room was filled with smoke. At first, Chenbo, Li Fang and others below thought that Yangzu's room was on fire and rushed up quickly from below. As a result, when they opened the door, they saw Bai Luo using a fan to pat the brazier for fumigation. Especially when they saw Yangzu still lying on the bed, everyone couldn't help but twitch their mouth slightly, wondering what the two little sips were about. Clearing a cough, the elder asked in a low voice, "Bai Luo, what's going on?" Bai Luo explained roughly, and then happily fumigated Yangzu. Seeing that Bai Luo was here, the others didn't say much. But after nearly an hour of fumigation, Yangzu's condition still didn't improve at all. Yangzu glanced at Bai Luo and gestured for him to come over. Bai Luo didn't hesitate at all and immediately moved closer to her mouth. "You say it. I'll adjust my breath later. You help me protect the law. Don't let anyone get close to me." "Okay, no problem. Just leave it to me." Bai Luo patted his chest and agreed. Yangzu nodded gently, then closed one eye, crossed her legs and gathered ki, and put her hands on her knees with her fingers raised. For a moment, the whole space fell into silence, so quiet that you could almost hear the sound of a pin drop. Bai Luo stood still like a guardian and scanned the surroundings with a sharp look. As long as he saw someone, Bai Luo would give them a sharp look. As for the few people downstairs, they also heard the noise just now. They were quite tactful and gave way one after another. No one went up to disturb the two of them. Putting aside other things, just the slight ambiguity between the two of them, anyone who was not blind could see some signs. After all, they were a talented man and a beautiful woman, and after spending a long time together, their feelings would more or less change. Besides, Yangzu was injured now, so they could not help, and naturally would not cause trouble. The people downstairs tried to minimize their presence, and moved as lightly as possible, for fear of disturbing Yangzu. Chapter 558, The Hidden Space of the Inn. 2 hours later, the sunlight came in through the cracks in the window, casting invisible spots on the table. Bai Luo stood upright beside him, as if he were an invisible man. He did not notice that Yangzu's eyelids beside him struggled slightly twice, and suddenly opened her almond eyes. The first thing she saw, when she opened her eyes, was Bai Luo's tall figure. Yangzu felt as if her heart had been torn open again, and a warm current slowly flowed out of it, making her feel warm. Yangzu opened her red lips and spoke softly. "Bai Luo." Hearing Yangzu's voice, Bai Luo quickly ran over and asked her how she was doing. Yangzu gently patted his hand, indicating that she was getting better. It was not until this moment that Bai Luo breathed a sigh of relief and knew that she was indeed fine. Then Bai Luo motioned for her to rest well and not move around. Later, Bai Luo was not idle either and quickly ran to the kitchen to make soup. Not only that, Bai Luo also made a lot of delicious food during the meal and moved all of them to Yangzu's room. Bai Luo didn't care about the sweat on his body at all and heaped the delicious food on Yangzu. "Come, try this. I made it specially for you. It's good for your recovery." Seeing Bai Luo's busy work, especially the fragrant smell coming from his nose, Yangzu's mouth curled up slightly, and her face could not hide the joy in her heart. Just as they were bubbling with happiness, there was a little commotion downstairs again. It turned out that the fragrance of the food made by Bai Luo spread outside through the air, and the people outside couldn't help but stop. "Oh my god, it smells so good. Where is this fragrance coming from? No, I feel so hungry. Yes, it smells so good. The glutton in my stomach can't stand it." After a burst of noise, suddenly a citizen shouted loudly and pointed. This is it, the fragrance coming from the inn." As soon as these words came out, a large number of people rushed into the inn. People blocked the door of the inn, and the only thing they could see was heads one after another. Looking at these people drooling, Chen Fang and Li Bo were also very helpless. They didn't expect that Bai Luo's cooking skills were so strong that they attracted so many people at once. Yes, it's here. It smells so good. It's so good. It smells so good. I haven't smelled such a fragrance for decades. Listening to the noise outside, Li Bo didn't hesitate at all and immediately went upstairs to tell Bai Luo about this. After listening to Bai Luo, a look of surprise appeared on his face. He didn't expect that he would cause such a sensation just by making food. Turning his head and seeing Li Bo next to him with a dark face, Bai Luo smiled awkwardly and spoke in a low voice. Ahem. Okay, I thought something big happened downstairs again. It turned out that Bai Luo had just heard the noise downstairs and thought someone was coming to make trouble again, and Li Bo just happened to come up. After a pause, Bai Luo reached out and patted Li Bo on the shoulder and then continued. How about this? You and brother Chen continue to cook and then just distribute it to the people. I believe in your cooking skills. As if he was afraid that people would disagree, Bai Luo deliberately praised someone. Hearing that Li Bo and the others had already dealt with the people's affairs, especially Yangzu's physical condition had basically recovered, Bai Luo's mouth corners suddenly curled up again. Especially when he saw Yangzu's cultivation base soaring and directly breaking through the stagnation period, Bai Luo's mouth corners could not be suppressed, and a light flashed quickly in his eyes. It turned out that a few days ago, Bai Luo accidentally walked around the innermost courtyard of the inn and found something strange inside. It seemed that there was something hidden on the wall in the courtyard, and there was a particularly strange aura. What exactly is it? Bai Luo couldn't explain it either, but he always felt that there was an ancient and mysterious atmosphere lingering on it. More importantly, even if Bai Luo used his spiritual power, the wall was still intact. He was just curious at first, but later Bai Luo had to open the wall to take a look. There might be a mechanism inside, or some treasure, but even his spiritual power couldn't open it, and considering that this thing was in this inn, there must be something fishy. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR first published this novel. Originally, he wanted the elder to come and see what was going on in the yard, but then there was a riot, and things kept happening, so he was delayed. Now that Yangzu's cultivation has increased greatly, he should be able to open the wall. As for not looking for the elder, it was mainly because the old guy teased him about his lack of strength whenever he had nothing to do, and he didn't need to give him a chance if he could. But what he didn't expect was that he was not teased by the elder this time, but by the always indifferent Yangzu. Of course, this is a later story. After organizing his words roughly, Bai Luo told Yangzu all the strange things in the yard. Yangzu sat on the stool, picked up the teacup, opened the lid, sipped the tea gently, and then pretended to complain. Haha, I didn't expect that there are things that you, Mr. Bai, can't accomplish, and now you are asking me to do it. This is not your style. I won't do this thankless job. Your strength is not good enough. If everything is handed over to me, I will be exhausted. Facing Yangzu's complaints, Bai Luo didn't say anything, but just kept smiling foolishly, reaching out and scratching the back of his head. Looking at Bai Luo's silly look, Yangzu smiled with her lips covered. Okay, I didn't say I don't agree. There's no need to be so dejected. Let's go directly. As soon as the voice fell, Yangzu stood up and directly motioned Bai Luo to lead the way. Bai Luo quickly raised his head and walked in front to lead the way. On the way, he also described in detail the strange things in the yard. After a cup of tea, the two came to the yard. Yangzu narrowed her eyes slightly. She knew why Bai Luo insisted on opening the wall. This place was indeed a bit strange. Let's not talk about that place first. Just the atmosphere here. From the moment she stepped in, she felt a kind of cold air. This breath may not be of much help to Bai Luo, but it is a great tonic for her. The tendons and veins of Yangzu's body were running fast, absorbing the energy in the air. After a long time of seeing Yangzu motionless, Bai Luo couldn't help but get anxious. It was the first time he saw Yangzu lose her composure. Ahem, Zua, how is it? Can this thing be opened? Gao Yangzu was stunned for a moment, turned her head to look at Bai Luo, and said calmly, "It's hard to say, I'll try it." As soon as the voice fell, Gao Yangzu put her index finger and middle finger together, waved her hand lightly at the wall, and a white light rushed straight into the wall. Chapter 559, Hidden Room. But it was still the same as Bai Luo's last time, the wall didn't move at all. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, Gao Yangzu herself wouldn't have thought it. She used nearly 70% of her strength, but the wall didn't move at all, and even the wall didn't fall off. Originally, she had agreed to Bai Luo to get this thing, and now even Yangzu couldn't help but be curious. After all, there were only a few things in this world that she couldn't open, and now there was another one. Especially since she had promised Bai Luo, no, this face must not be lost. Even Yangzu's ears, which were covered by black hair, were accidentally dyed pink. Bai Luo noticed it, but didn't say much, and immediately changed the subject. "It seems that there is a very important thing hidden in it." "Haha, it should be. You made a good decision to buy this in. This time you may really make a profit." Gao Yangzu nodded and echoed. Then Yangzu was not idle, and used her spiritual power to attack the wall again. But after she attacked more than 10 times, the wall was still as strong as a copper wall, without any change, as if her attack had no power at all. The breeze blew slowly, bringing a slight coolness, and driving away some anxiety. For a moment, the whole space fell into silence, so quiet that only the sound of a needle falling could be heard. At this moment, Gao Yangzu couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Obviously, she was the one who spoke out at the beginning, but now it seems that she is just rubbing her face on the ground. After thinking for a few times, Gao Yangzu's eyes stared at the wall, and suddenly a laser suddenly emerged, as if she had thought of something. As soon as she thought of it, Gao Yangzu pointed at the mark on it and said directly, "Bai Luo, do you see the pattern on it?" Hearing this, Bai Luo was dumbfounded, and didn't know what Yangzu was asking. "Ah, where is it?" There was nothing on the wall, it was obviously snow white. Gao Yangzu didn't say much, and directly injected spiritual power into the wall. There was nothing just now, but the wall changed in an instant, and a pattern of 9 stars in a row appeared on it, which was mostly disordered. Looking at the scene in front of him, Bai Luo was also shocked, and couldn't help swallowing his saliva. "This?" Gao Yangzu nodded gently again, indicating that his guess was correct. Then Yangzu used the spiritual power in her hand to gently tap the pattern on it, and gathered these stones into the correct 9 stars in a row along the lines. The green fingers jumped quickly, and Bai Luo was amazed. As expected, he still had to rely on Yangzu for most of the time. This person is smart, and basically all the problems can be solved by looking for her. Thinking of this, Bai Luo's eyes couldn't help but show tenderness. There was a click 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 sound, and the door opened. One layer of stairs after another exposed the view, and the last layer was hidden in the darkness. It was covered with white dust, and it seemed that no one had set foot on it for a long time. "Let's go in and take a look." Before Yangzu spoke, Bai Luo spoke first. Gao Yangzu did not say anything, but explained it with her actions, pulling Bai Luo in. After entering, they found that there should be a small storage room inside. After checking for a while, Bai Luo and the other person came to the same conclusion. That is, the previous innkeeper should not know this secret. Let alone, this storage room alone must be very expensive and cost a lot of money. With that stingy character, the inn must not be sold at such a low price. Judging from the traces above, it is very likely that it was done by a cultivator, and the boss is just an ordinary person, and it is impossible for him to have such a big hand. After reaching this conclusion, Bai Luo and the other person explored carefully again. Then a faint blue light emerged from the depths of the storage room, directly attracting their attention. Bai Luo and the other person exchanged glances, and went directly to the direction of the light. When they saw what was inside clearly, even Bai Luo, who was calm, couldn't help but open his mouth wide, almost enough to fit an eggshell. My goodness, this is simply the level of local tyrants. There was a pile of blue agate and gold coins on the ground. The blue light was like a demon spreading everywhere against the yellow light, and it looked very eye-catching. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. Bai Luo swallowed his saliva and rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Oh my god, am I dreaming now? Zua, pinch me and see if it hurts. Gao Yangzu raised her eyebrows, and her green fingers pinched the soft flesh on Bai Luo's waist, causing Bai Luo to gasp in pain. Hiss, you're too cruel. Well, does it feel real now? It's still a little unreal. It feels like I've become rich overnight. Gao Yangzu turned her head to look at Bai Luo, raised her hand, and said calmly, what's the matter? Do you want to do it again? No, 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 I'm awake, awake. Bai Luo waved his hands to refuse, paused, and continued. But there are so many of these things suddenly appearing in this place, it seems to be really strange, and the aura distributed on them seems to be a bit strange. How about going out to ask the elders? It's no wonder that Bai Luo was so surprised, but there were indeed so many things on the ground that it was a bit scary. Not to mention the piles of gold coins like a small mountain. Just the pile of blue agates alone is attractive enough. This is a great tonic for cultivators to practice. Absorbing the spiritual energy inside can quickly promote the improvement of spiritual power. And in daily life, this thing can also be used as an exchange for weapons and elixirs. If the purity of the blue agate is high, the quality of the things that can be exchanged is also higher. Even at a glance, Bai Luo can see that these agates on the ground are definitely top grade. Okay, that makes sense. Let's do it directly. Gao Yangzu clapped her hands, took out the storage bag and directly collected all the treasures on the ground. But in a short moment, the two of them came to the elder's room in a hurry, which scared the elder. The elder stared at Bai Luo and the others with a bad face, sneered and said, you two better have something serious to do, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Hearing the elder's gritting teeth, Bai Luo didn't take it to heart and directly took out the blue agate and gold coins. However, after taking a look, the elder's eyes widened, and he clicked his tongue a few times. Where did you get them from? Bai Luo didn't hide anything, and told him everything that happened just now. The elder didn't say anything, but stroked his beard with his hand. His face became more and more solemn, and no one knew what he was thinking. Gao Yangzu and Bai Luo on the side exchanged glances, and at the same time, became more curious about the storage room. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 560, Disciples' Difficulties. I don't know how much time has passed. The elder exhaled heavily and gave a special reminder. These things should be very old, and they still retain the breath of immortals. Bai Luo's eyes rolled around. He was not stupid, so he naturally heard the caution in the elder's tone. It seems that these gold coins cannot be used for the time being. Bai Luo looked at these gold coins with some regret, and said in a low voice, in this case, don't use these things for the time being. After hearing this, the other few people naturally knew the importance of gold coins and agreed. After that, everyone was busy with their own things, and didn't take the gold coins to heart. As night fell, the crescent moon slowly hung in the black curtain, and there were even more stars dotted beside it. It was getting darker and the dew was heavier. Bai Luo, who was supposed to stay in the room, was still worried. After thinking about it, those gold coins were indeed mysterious. If they were taken out today, who would be sure that someone would not get the news? Exhaling heavily, Bai Luo felt that he should still reinforce another layer of barrier, which would be safer. Do it as soon as you think of it, and that's why the scene just happened. No, as soon as he saw it, Bai Luo saw a familiar burly figure, and combined with the sharp profile just now, it was Lei Ming. Especially when he saw Lei Ming's hand reaching for the gold coins, even Bai Luo's face couldn't help but look a little ugly. Obviously, the other party should be taking those gold coins. But Bai Luo didn't say anything to stop him. Since the other party could become the elder's disciple, there should be no problem with his character. The reason why the other party was like this today might have a reason. Thinking about it, Bai Luo felt that this matter was not suitable for him to come forward. Silently touching his chin, a flash of inspiration flashed through Bai Luo's mind. Then he flashed, and Bai Luo disappeared. When he appeared again, he was in front of the elder's door. A regular sound of dong 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 sounded, and then the elder's majestic voice came from the door. The door is not locked, come in directly. Bai Luo opened the door, and went in directly without pausing. The elder frowned slightly, his face full of confusion, not understanding why Bai Luo suddenly came here in the middle of the night. Bai Luo started by laying the groundwork with other things, and then told him about Lei Ming stealing the gold coins. Instantly, the elder's face was distorted, and he slapped the table with his palm. With a bang, Bai Luo was shocked. He didn't expect the elder to be so angry. The elder's forehead was so angry that veins popped out, and his hands were clenched into fists. He didn't care, even if his nails dug into the flesh. The sound of joints cracking rang out, followed by the elder's gnashing teeth. Let's go and see what's wrong with this evil creature. The elder's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot, as ugly as it could be. He didn't expect that the apprentice he caught would be so rude to him. It was clearly stated this afternoon that the gold coins could not be touched, and tonight someone sneaked to take them. Isn't this rubbing his face against the ground? Unable to suppress his anger, the elder took Bai Luo downstairs, and just as they reached the stairs, they ran into Lei Ming. The elder waved his hand, motioning Lei Ming to come over. Lei Ming looked up and saw the elder's extremely ugly face, and his heart suddenly skipped a beat. The elder was not polite and asked directly, "What are you doing at 11:30? Lei Ming hesitated for a moment, then lowered his head silently, knowing that he had been exposed. "How can you put your face as your master by doing this? Tell me." Lei Ming shrank his neck again and apologized to the elder. "I'm sorry, master, I didn't mean to do it. I have my reasons." "What great reasons are there for you to do such a thing?" "They are all excuses." The elder was so angry that he blew his beard and glared, and didn't listen to Lei Ming's explanation at all, and even wanted to beat him up. Seeing this, Bai Luo quickly stopped him and acted as a peacemaker. "Don't be anxious, elder. Everyone knows Lei Ming's character. He must have his reasons. Why don't you listen to him first?" The noise here had already alarmed the others, and they quickly agreed. Hearing everyone saying this, the elder snorted coldly and motioned Lei Ming to explain. "Explain well, or don't blame me for being rude." Lei Ming lowered his head and said stumblingly, "I received news from home 2 days ago, saying that my younger brother and sister were sick, and they had no money, and were living in a particularly difficult situation." After a pause, Lei Ming continued, "I don't have enough money on me, so I thought I would take some first, and send it home, when I have time. I really didn't mean it, it was really." Although he didn't finish his words, his meaning was obvious. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar published this novel for the first time. Especially when he saw Lei Ming's scholar eyes, the elder's heart couldn't help but sympathize with him a little. As the saying goes, men don't shed tears easily, but they just haven't reached the point of being sad. He knew the situation of Lei Ming's family. To let him do this, his family must have been desperate. "Why didn't you say it earlier?" The elder was disappointed with his son, and his face stiffened for a few seconds. Then he took out his purse and handed it directly to Lei Ming. "Take this, it should be able to solve the urgent problem. Mine. And mine." As the elder's voice fell, Bai Luo and others behind him also agreed and handed their money directly to Lei Ming. Lei Ming stared at the purse in his hand for a long time. Bai Luo reached out and patted his shoulder and said earnestly, "We are all partners. If you have anything to say, just tell me later." Lei Ming was immediately moved to tears and thanked him repeatedly with sobs. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much." After a pause, Lei Ming continued to apologize for what happened just now. "I'm sorry, I was wrong this time. I won't do it again. It's okay, we are all partners. You can send the money back first and tell us if it's not enough. Okay?" So far, the matter has been resolved. Bai Luo deliberately yawned and changed the subject. "Oh, I'm sleepy. It's getting late. Everyone go back to sleep. There are a lot of things to do in the inn tomorrow." Everyone nodded and went back to their rooms. Lei Ming paused for 2 steps, then solemnly thanked Bai Luo again, and then went back to rest. At this moment, Bai Luo also glanced at Zhu because he was still thinking about the other party's situation in the morning. If there are any sequelae, it would not be good. Therefore, he thought about going over to ask the other party. By the way, Zua, there is something I want to talk to you about, that is. Tap tap tap. But Zhu ran away directly. It's really strange. Seeing this, Bai Luo sighed and shook his head helplessly. Chapter 561 System Mission. The next day, Bai Luo just woke up and found himself in a completely new area. System, what's going on? Where are Zua and the others? You need to complete the task and get the red crystal before you can return to the original area, otherwise you will. The system did not finish all the words, but Bai Luo could still feel a special charm. Damn, I'm really convinced. At this time, Bai Luo rolled his eyes. Take good things and hurry up. The system's voice sounded again. Helplessly, Bai Luo could only do it. Although he was still very worried about Zhu and the others, only by completing the task could he go back faster. Oh, let's go. Then, Bai Luo shook his head again. At the same time, Bai Luo's mind also had some memories. It turned out that he was now in a place called Ancient Jungle. Recalling the words of the system, Bai Luo could not care about other things, and then he quickly stood up and looked around anxiously. By the way, you originally had some food on you, but I can also give you a friendly reminder that it was stolen. As for whether the other party was a human or a creature, then the system suddenly stopped, and Bai Luo was confused when he heard it. So, Bai Luo quickly checked the things he had with him. However, after Bai Luo checked his belongings, he found that there was nothing that the other party mentioned. Bai Luo searched everywhere but couldn't find the missing dry food. If this matter had happened before, it would not be a big deal for Bai Luo, but now Bai Luo came to this ancient jungle alone. Dry food is very limited, and now so much dry food has been lost at once. Bai Luo is naturally anxious. The more Bai Luo thought about it, the angrier he became. He felt that the system was also responsible for this matter. Bai Luo wanted to question the system. He wanted to see what kind of explanation the system would give him. But when he thought of the system's cold voice, he felt that, even if he asked the system, he would not get any good answer. Anyway, the system would not give him more dry food, and arguing with him would only waste time, so Bai Luo finally gave up. At the same time, he felt that the most urgent thing was to deal with the matter in front of him. It was completely unnecessary to waste his breath. However, when he thought about how he had lost so much dry food at once, Bai Luo was really angry and finally cursed. What's going on? This happened before it even started. I don't know if there will be another thing later. At this moment, at the inn where Zhu and others were staying, it was still dark over there, as if nothing had happened, but it seemed that everything had new signs. Bai Luo was still thinking about this matter, but he didn't expect that a white snow rabbit suddenly appeared in front of him. The rabbit was snow white and had a relatively large body. It really looked like a wild beast. Thinking about how much dry food he had just lost, Bai Luo felt that he could catch this white rabbit. After all, this guy was also quite large, and Bai Luo felt that he could also attack it. After deciding on his idea, Bai Luo silently picked up a stick from the side and walked forward step by step. However, the rabbit did not seem to notice Bai Luo and was still eating the grass on the ground. Just when Bai Luo thought he was about to succeed, the rabbit suddenly reacted and jumped away. Bai Luo missed and fell to the ground. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK bar published this novel. This was something Bai Luo had never expected. Bai Luo wanted to chase it, but the white rabbit ran too fast. After Bai Luo looked over there a few times, he didn't find any trace of the white rabbit. Although Bai Luo was unwilling, he finally chose to give up. After all, he was not familiar with the situation here. If he chased after it forcefully, he would put himself in danger. For a moment, Bai Luo didn't know what to do next. He thought of what he had encountered before, but there was one thing he couldn't figure out. After all, this jungle was very remote, and there must be no one here. But his dry food was indeed lost yesterday, and they wouldn't disappear for no reason. Someone must have taken the dry food away. So this is what made Bai Luo puzzled. There should be only some wild beasts nearby. Maybe his dry food was taken away by the wild beasts. But he was lying next to them at that time. Why didn't he get hurt at all? After thinking about this, Bai Luo then had some luck. He didn't expect those wild beasts to be so good. He was lying there just now. If those large wild beasts wanted to attack him, he might not be alive now. Thinking of this, Bai Luo said to himself, I didn't expect those guys to just take away the dry food. It just so happened that they didn't attack me yet, so I can be considered to have saved my life. After that, Bai Luo didn't actually dwell on this matter anymore, because he didn't have any clues to investigate. So after resting for a while, Bai Luo continued to head towards the jungle. Because he had been walking for a while, Bai Luo also felt that his physical strength was draining away quickly. When Bai Luo wanted to sit down and rest, he saw the huge residue of his dry food on the ground. Seeing the food residues on the grass, Bai Luo quickly squatted down to check, and then rubbed them in his palm. Bai Luo frowned, because he was now basically sure that these food residues were the residues of the dry food he brought. Why did these things suddenly appear here? Could it be that the person who stole his dry food before was nearby? After having such a guess, Bai Luo looked around very vigilantly. Bai Luo originally didn't plan to deal with this matter again, but he didn't expect to run into it again by accident. However, Bai Luo didn't think about getting all the dry food back. He was just a little curious about who stole his dry food. However, Bai Luo was still a little worried. After all, he had previously speculated that his dry food was likely stolen by those large wild animals. If he went there now, he might encounter danger. But Bai Luo finally thought about this matter and decided to go and take a look first. After all, Bai Luo was really curious about who stole his dry food. Since he had decided on this matter, Bai Luo took his weapon and walked straight forward. Not long after they walked, they heard a rustling sound. Bai Luo knew that those who stole his food should be not far ahead. Chapter 562, Finding the Thief. In order not to alert the enemy, Bai Luo stopped immediately and listened carefully to the movements in front of him. However, the other side did not seem to move and just stayed there. Bai Luo slowly moved over there and kept observing the surrounding situation. It didn't take long for him to see the scene in front of him. This scene made Bai Luo stunned because he had guessed that some large beasts had stolen his dry food. But he didn't expect to see two very thin men eating his dry food. He didn't expect that there were other people in such a remote jungle. The two men looked very bad now because they were very thin. Bai Luo also saw that the two men were covered with many wounds of different sizes. At first, Bai Luo wanted to make trouble for the people who stole his dry food, but after seeing the situation of the two men, Bai Luo subconsciously wanted to help them. So Bai Luo hurried forward. The wounds of the two people were indeed horrible. Because Bai Luo was still some distance away from them, he could only see blood on their bodies when he looked over here. But now when he got closer, Bai Luo found that the wounds on these people had begun to fester. If he didn't deal with it quickly, Bai Luo felt that these two people would soon die. Moreover, they looked so thin and weak, and it was obvious that they couldn't handle the situation. After seeing this situation, Bai Luo couldn't help but hesitate for a moment, and then thought about how to help these two people. But before Bai Luo could do anything, after seeing Bai Luo coming, these two people's eyes were filled with fear, and they stepped back step by step, and the dry food in their hands was thrown to the ground. Seeing this situation, Bai Luo couldn't help but frowned. Presumably, these two people must have seen his face clearly when they stole his dry food, and now they might think that Bai Luo was here to cause trouble for them. But Bai Luo didn't want to cause trouble for them because of stealing dry food. After all, these two people didn't look good. So Bai Luo hurriedly explained, hoping that the two would not panic when they saw him. After all, his brother wanted to help them, and he didn't want to wait until the two ran away alone. Don't be afraid, you two. I'm not a bad person, and I'm not here to cause you trouble. I see that the wounds on your bodies have been very serious, so do you need help? I think I can help you. After hearing Bai Luo's words, the two looked at each other, their eyes full of distrust of Bai Luo, and naturally knew that the two would not trust him so easily. In order to alleviate the two's concerns, Bai Luo couldn't help but smile, and then continued. I think you can trust me completely. After all, if I really want to do something to you, I don't need to spend so much effort. Since I have already said that I can help you, I must have my own way. This really worked. After all, the situation of these two people just looked very bad, but they still had basic judgment ability. After hesitating for a while, they walked a few steps towards Bai Luo. A tall man walked up to him. He looked at Bai Luo in front of him and moved his mouth, but didn't say much. Bai Luo knew that what the two people wanted to express was that they believed in him. What Bai Luo said just now was certainly not a lie to them. He didn't bring so many herbs with him, but he brought some pills before coming to the jungle. Because Bai Luo knew that the jungle was very dangerous, the pills he brought were naturally panaceas. Bai Luo also poured out 2 of these pills without hesitation, and then distributed them to the 2 people in front of him. Maybe they really believed in Bai Luo, they didn't hesitate. After taking the medicine from Bai Luo, they ate it directly. Then Bai Luo used his inner strength to heal the 2 people's injuries. Soon, the complexion on their faces looked much better. Bai Luo nodded with satisfaction. That's great. Your injuries should be healed soon. You should be careful during this period. But why are you two in this jungle? After all, it's very dangerous here. If you don't have anything important to do, leave here. Bai Luo was very curious about the origins of these 2 people because he didn't think that ordinary people would come to the jungle for no reason. He came to the jungle because he had something important to do. These 2 people looked like ordinary people, and their complexion looked very bad. They must have suffered a lot in the jungle. This made Bai Luo very curious. He didn't know why these 2 people appeared here. After hearing Bai Luo's words, the 2 thin men hurriedly explained to Bai Luo in front of them. I'm really sorry about what happened before. We didn't mean to steal your dry food. We were just too hungry, so we had to do this. We were forced to be here. This was not our intention. We have tried many ways to escape from here, but in the end we could only circle around here. We simply couldn't leave here. Because the strength that Bai Luo showed just now really shocked the 2 men, and it was Bai Luo who helped them just now. The 2 men were worried that Bai Luo would hurt himself because of stealing dry food, but they didn't expect Bai Luo to help them without reservation. So the 2 men looked at each other and then knelt down directly. Thank you for saving my life, young master. If you don't mind, you will be the eldest brother of our 2 brothers in the future. We will work hard for you to repay you in the future. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR is the first to publish this novel. After hearing what the 2 said, Bai Luo was also somewhat amused because he helped the 2 not to make them work like slaves for him. After all, their situation just now looked really bad. Bai Luo just did his best. You don't have to be so polite. I helped you willingly, not expecting you to repay me. As for the dry food you took, I'll give it to you. But the 2 seemed to have already identified Bai Luo. No matter what Bai Luo said, the 2 must recognize Bai Luo as brother Bai, and later Bai Luo felt that this was not a very important matter, since the 2 insisted on saying so. Bai Luo finally agreed. Chapter 563 2 Little Brothers. After a conversation, Bai Luo got to know the 2 men better. One of them was called Duotu and the other was called Mondo. The reason why they came to the jungle was very coincidental. They themselves couldn't explain why they suddenly appeared here. We didn't know why we triggered a mechanism at that time, and then the world spun around. After we got out of the mechanism, we came to this place. As for what happened, we didn't know. The following is what you see, Brother Bai. Not only are we trapped here, but we are also seriously injured. When he said this, Duotu couldn't help shaking his head. After all, he also felt that this incident happened inexplicably. He was accidentally involved in this incident. Now they don't know how to leave here. And then he continued to talk to Bai Luo in front of him. We found out that this place is very dangerous soon after we came here, but we don't know where this place is, and there are many large beasts here. They have been attacking us, but we are no match for them, so we can only run away. There are so many wounds on your body, and we don't have any food here, because the dry food we brought was lost during the escape, so we stole your dry food later. Now Bai Luo can almost figure out the reason why these two people appeared here. He also felt that these two people were really wronged. After all, they looked like ordinary people, but they suddenly appeared in this jungle. This jungle is not a safe place. If they don't have any strength, they will disappear in it soon. Anyway, Bai Luo has helped them before, so Bai Luo now wants to help them to the end. If Bai Luo doesn't help them now, even if he has healed their wounds just now, they will definitely suffer new injuries later. So Bai Luo finally said to them directly, if you don't mind, just follow me. Although I can't guarantee your safety, I can lend a hand if there is any danger. After hearing Bai Luo's words, the two were naturally very moved, because they also knew what kind of situation they were facing, but they didn't expect to meet someone like Bai Luo at this time. He had helped them before, and they didn't expect that he could still lead them without holding back. So Duotu and Mondo nodded quickly and said happily, that's really great. Thank you, Brother Bai, we will definitely not hold you back. Bai Luo waved his hand and didn't say anything more because he knew that he couldn't take it lightly in this jungle. This matter could only be regarded as a small episode on his way. Since he had decided to help them, he would definitely take responsibility to the end. So Bai Luo took Duotu and Mondo forward directly. Not long after, they encountered a group of low-level beasts. Bai Luo saw the movement in front and stopped immediately. Although the beasts in the jungle were not easy to deal with, Bai Luo could tell at a glance that the beasts in front of him were just low-level beasts. It was not difficult to deal with them. Bai Luo looked at Duotu and Mondo beside him and said what he thought. The beasts in front are easy to deal with. They are the lowest level beasts. When the time comes, we can work together and then destroy all of them. Bai Luo thought it was very easy, so he didn't think about working with them. However, he didn't expect that after hearing Bai Luo's words, the two of them were filled with fear in their eyes and quickly refused. Let's forget it. We don't dare to deal with these beasts. After all, it was these beasts that bit us at that time. How dare we go to them? Neither of them was willing to stand up. Bai Luo could see that the two were really scared, but Bai Luo was not a tough person. Anyway, he could handle this matter by himself. It was not very important to Bai Luo whether they participated or not. So Bai Luo didn't think much about it. After making sure that neither of them was willing to go forward, Bai Luo didn't discuss with them on the spot. He rushed forward with his weapon. These things were indeed very easy to deal with. Bai Luo's skills could deal with them directly, so Bai Luo directly solved these beasts. Duotu and Mondo on the side were stunned by Bai Luo's good operation after seeing it. They just thought that Bai Luo was not simple before, but they didn't expect that Bai Luo had such a powerful ability. After seeing that the beasts in front of him had no ability to fight back, Bai Luo turned around and looked at Duotu and Mondo behind him, because Bai Luo also knew that, since he had decided to help them, he couldn't let them learn nothing. After all, if they really wanted to leave here, improving their abilities was the most important thing. But now it seems that these two people are full of fear of the beasts here. Bai Luo felt that this would not work, so he thought of a way later. Anyway, everything is done step by step. He looked at them and then pointed directly at the beasts here. You two come here and tie up these beasts quickly. Now these guys basically have no fighting ability, so you don't have to be afraid. Just do it directly. They will definitely not hurt you. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR first published this novel. After hearing Bai Luo's words, Duotu and Mondo's eyes were still full of fear. They didn't dare to move forward because they were trembling with fear when they saw the beasts. Bai Luo was a little helpless and could only continue to comfort them. He knew that Duotu and Mondo were afraid of them, but now they had to overcome their fear. Hurry up and capture them. These things are not difficult. Anyway, we have to do things step by step. Today, you should try to subdue them first. Bai Luo's tone was very firm. The two still listened to Bai Luo's words very much. Although they were very scared in their hearts, they still took action in the end. These beasts had completely lost any fighting ability, so the two of them did not encounter any difficulties when capturing these beasts, and quickly completed the task assigned to them by Bai Luo. Chapter 564, Strange Species. After this incident, Bai Luo also felt that Duotu and Mondo could not continue like this. After all, the jungle was too dangerous. If they were really afraid of these beasts, it would be difficult for them to survive in the jungle, let alone leave the jungle. So after thinking about it, Bai Luo had his own ideas, and then Bai Luo said to them, I guess you have seen my skills just now. If you want to learn, I can teach them to you, and also let you learn some self-defense skills. Duotu and Mondo were naturally very happy. After all, everyone has a psychological admiration for the strong. They naturally want to become stronger, because after coming here, they have seen the helplessness and despair of being a weak person in the face of difficulties. If it weren't for Bai Luo's help, even Mondo and Duotu themselves don't think they can still live until now. So the two of them walked forward at the same time. When they learned that Bai Luo was willing to teach them his skills, their eyes were suddenly filled with light. They looked at Bai Luo in front of them with some disbelief, and finally shook Bai Luo's hand excitedly. That would be great. We will study hard, and will never let you down. If we can become as strong as you, then we can leave here. Seeing their high spirits, Bai Luo smiled with satisfaction. He was actually willing to teach others what he had learned, otherwise he would not have taken the initiative to ask for it. However, now was not the time to discuss this matter. The first thing they had to deal with was how to leave here. The few of them did not waste more time here. Bai Luo had already kept this matter in mind. As long as the situation improved, Bai Luo would directly teach Duotu and Mondo the skills. So Bai Luo and the other three continued to move forward. They had already dealt with a group of low-level beasts before. For a long time, they did not encounter any other dangers, but Bai Luo was still cautious, because Bai Luo knew better than anyone that they must not be careless in this jungle. If they were not careful, they might lose their lives. As they walked, Bai Luo found some footprints on the ground. If they were ordinary beast footprints, Bai Luo would not be so surprised, because according to Bai Luo's observation, although these footprints were indeed quite wide, they looked like human footprints. After realizing this, Bai Luo turned around and looked at Duotu and Mondo beside him. Considering that they had been here for a while before him, Bai Luo spoke directly. Look at these footprints. I think although they look a bit large, they should be human footprints. You have been here for a while. Have you found other humans here? Or have you found any traces of other human life? Bai Luo felt that this was very important to him, because in many cases, the threat of some people was more terrifying than those beasts. So Bai Luo looked at Duotu and Mondo in front of him very seriously, hoping that the two could provide him with some information. But to Bai Luo's disappointment, Duotu and Mondo just shook their heads after hearing Bai Luo's words. They looked at the footprints on the ground and did not confirm Bai Luo's statement. We don't know these, but we have no way to verify them now. Anyway, let's keep going forward. Maybe we can get some other information later. This is true. Although Bai Luo suspected the origin of these footprints, they had no other way now, so the three of them continued to move forward. But before they had moved forward for long, Duotu and Mondo on the other side made another discovery. They smelled a special smell in the air. They thought this news was very important, so they called Bai Luo directly and told him the news. Bai Luo, the two of us have found some other smells in the air, and we feel that this smell is getting stronger and stronger. We guess that there will be some special creatures approaching us secretly. Now we can only get this information through these smells. We can't guess other things out of thin air. After hearing what Duotu and Mondo said, Bai Luo couldn't help but frowned. He tried to verify what Duotu and Mondo said, but he really didn't smell any other special smell in the air. He even felt that this air was the same as ordinary air, with no big difference. So Bai Luo also felt very strange. If there was really any special smell, why couldn't he smell it? However, Bai Luo didn't doubt Duotu and Mondo, because the tone of the two was very certain. Bai Luo kept the words of the two in his heart, but now there was no other situation around, and Bai Luo couldn't decide what to do next. In this case, we should be more careful. Although I didn't smell that special smell, since you have all discovered these unusual behaviors, I think we should be on guard. But now we can only continue to move forward. As for what happens later, it depends on our own luck. Later, Bai Luo was still thinking about this matter. Just when Bai Luo thought he was too cautious, Bai Luo heard a very loud sound. The sound was rustling, and it was hard for Bai Luo not to notice it. And that sound came from another direction. After realizing this, Bai Luo reacted quickly. He thought that this was most likely the source of the special smell mentioned by Duo 2, so Bai Luo became alert all of a sudden. He could now tell by the sound that the group of things were moving towards them at a very fast speed. Soon Bai Luo saw the species that made these sounds in the distance, but the distance was too far, and Bai Luo could not quickly distinguish what those things were. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. But now for safety reasons, Bai Luo also knew that they could not stay here all the time. He didn't know if those creatures had any ill intentions towards them. He could deal with them himself, but Bai Luo looked at Duo 2 and Mondo on the side again. Finally, for safety reasons, Bai Luo directly carried the two people and jumped to the tree on the other side. Let's be careful, those creatures will come soon. At that time, we must not attract their attention. Let's see what those things are. Okay, I understand. Chapter 565 Special Mark. After all, Bai Luo and his companions were now in the jungle, and they didn't know whether these things were dangerous, so it would be better to be careful. They were naturally very clear about the strength that Bai Luo had shown, so they believed in what Bai Luo said, and they were naturally afraid of the big battle in front of them, so the two of them nodded quickly and followed Bai Luo to observe the movements below. Soon, some creatures with faster speeds flew over from their side, because the distance had been greatly shortened. Bai Luo looked at those special creatures flying towards them, and his eyes were fixed on these creatures. Soon he found that these special creatures were indeed growing very strangely. They were simply creatures with wings that looked like 4 different creatures. Bai Luo didn't know how to describe these things for a while, because it looked too weird. These creatures had a pair of wings on their awkward bodies, which looked full of disobedience. Seeing this situation, Bai Luo's brows had not been relaxed, but from the current situation, these special creatures did not seem to have the intention to attack them. They seemed to just leave from here. However, Bai Luo did not provoke these things. After all, these were all creatures in the jungle. Although there was nothing unusual now, Bai Luo could not guarantee whether they would attack them next. Mondo and Duo 2 on the side also stared at the things below. Then Mondo's eyes lit up, and then he found the special points on these creatures. He pointed at the winged creatures flying towards them with some excitement, and then hurriedly said, Bai Luo, look, there seem to be some special marks on those creatures, and each of them has them, but the positions are different. Look at the one below, its mark is on its wings. After hearing Mondo's words, Bai Luo also noticed the marks on those creatures. Sure enough, what Mondo said was right. There were other marks on the creatures everywhere on their bodies, so Bai Luo quickly discovered this feature. Seeing these situations, Bai Luo fell into deep thought, because he always felt that these things were not so simple. Although they were not in any danger now, and these creatures with strange marks did not attack them, Bai Luo always felt that all these things would definitely not be so simple. But now these are just Bai Luo's own guesses, so he did not show his uneasiness, which would only increase everyone's troubles. Several people did not leave here immediately, because there were too many creatures, and they were all walking towards this side in groups, so Bai Luo and his friends could not leave now, and could only wait and see what would happen next. But before it was quiet for long, a very strong wind suddenly blew up. This gust of wind came very unexpectedly, and Bai Luo did not react for a while. The three of them are still standing on this big tree, but Bai Luo happened to stabilize himself at the critical moment, and then he quickly pulled Duo 2 and Mondo beside him, so that the two of them did not fall down. What's going on? Why did such a strong wind blow suddenly? I feel that this matter is definitely not that simple, so everyone should be careful. If something really happens, everyone should quickly protect their safety. As soon as Bai Luo finished speaking, a strong wind blew around again, but this time there was not only a strong wind, but the sky also darkened immediately. Looking at the gloomy sky, Bai Luo's face darkened quickly. After that, the situation here also took a sharp turn for the worse. Suddenly, there was lightning and thunder, but there was no sign of rain. It was just that the current atmosphere made the situation here seem like the end of the world. Bai Luo quickly looked around and found that the winged creatures had disappeared. There were only 3 of them left around. However, Bai Luo knew that they could not continue like this because he felt that something very dangerous might happen here. They had to leave here quickly, but Bai Luo could not leave immediately now. Although it was indeed very dangerous now, there were often some opportunities at this time. So Bai Luo did not plan to leave immediately. He wanted to see what would happen later. Moreover, Bai Luo also knew that this matter was definitely not that simple. Now that the weather suddenly became like this, it was very likely that it was coming towards them. Bai Luo could stay to deal with such a situation, but as for Duotu and Mondo on the other side, Bai Luo could not guarantee that he would be able to protect them in a difficult situation. So Bai Luo quickly jumped down with the 2 people and then pointed in another direction. The situation is urgent now. You should leave quickly. Don't worry about what's going on here. If nothing happens here, I will catch up with you. So you should leave quickly. Leave the things here to me. After saying this, Bai Luo planned to go in another direction because he knew that the key to solving the problem was there. But Bai Luo found that Duotu and Mondo had no intention of leaving, and they still stayed where they were after hearing Bai Luo's words. Seeing this situation, Bai Luo felt helpless. In fact, he knew that Duotu and Mondo were very loyal people, and they would not abandon him at such an urgent moment. But now the facts were in front of him. Even if Duotu and Mondo stayed, it would not help the development of this matter, and Bai Luo could not protect them. You guys hurry up and leave. It's too dangerous here, so just let me handle the situation here. You just protect your own safety. You are just wasting time here now, wasting your precious time to escape. So this is totally unnecessary, and this is not the time to be loyal. You just leave here now. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR is the first to release this novel. After hearing Bai Luo's words, Duotu stood up very firmly. He was really grateful to Bai Luo in his heart, so he would never live alone at this time. The 2 of them also understood very well that Bai Luo asked them to leave in order to protect their safety, but they really couldn't do such a thing. Brother Bai, you don't need to say more. We will never leave now, and if anything happens, we will carry it with you. Chapter 566 Return to the Inn. Then, Mondo nodded, and he quickly agreed with Duotu beside him, because his thoughts were naturally the same as Duotu's. Since the 3 of them decided to leave together, there was no reason to leave one person behind. Don't worry, Bai Luo, we won't cause you any trouble if we stay. Although our skills are not as powerful as yours, there are still some other uses for us to stay. We can also face this situation with you together. After saying this, the 2 of them silently chanted some spells, and then 2 very strange magic weapons appeared in their hands. These 2 magic weapons looked quite ordinary, but now they looked very strange in Duotu and Mondo's hands. Bai Luo was confused by their actions, because he didn't think that these 2 small magic weapons could protect their safety. What are you doing? I know you have good intentions, but we really don't need to make these sacrifices for no reason. I don't need you to stay and face this situation with me. If you can run, run quickly. If these magic weapons can really protect your safety, you can really make good use of them. Bai Luo continued to urge them to leave, but they didn't have any intention of leaving. Instead, they continued to recite the spell in their mouths. After that, the 2 magic weapons in their hands started to work directly, and then a lot of blue translucent protective shields appeared above the 3 of them. Seeing this, Bai Luo couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He didn't expect these things to look so useless, but he didn't expect them to have such an effect. It was really magical. He didn't expect Duotu and Mondo to have such practical treasures. Bai Luo's mouth moved, but he didn't make any sound. Then he heard the voice of the system. He didn't expect the system to appear at this time, because most of the time it was Bai Luo who took the initiative to find the system, but this time the system took the initiative to speak. The situation is urgent now. You can choose to stay or return to your previous residence. Please make your own choice. Bai Luo looked at the situation around him. He knew that staying here would be of no benefit at all, because the sky seemed to be torn apart. If he continued to stay here, he didn't know how he would face such a situation next. So Bai Luo didn't think about it, and then he made his own decision. Then of course, I will quickly return to my previous residence. I don't want to die here. After all, I haven't learned my current skills yet. How can I be harmed by these things? After saying these words, Bai Luo looked at Duotu and Mondo on the side. Naturally, he would not be a person who would abandon his brothers for his own safety, so after saying these words, Bai Luo made his own request. But I have another request. Can we take Duotu and Mondo with us? It's really dangerous here. Taking them with us can save their lives. In fact, Bai Luo was not sure when he said this, because the system has always been cold in his mind. In many cases, it is just a machine that conveys orders. He is also worried that the system will directly reject his request. But now Bai Luo can only try to communicate with the system. But what Bai Luo did not expect was that after hearing Bai Luo's request, the system agreed to Bai Luo's request after a while. Even Bai Luo himself did not expect that the system would agree to him so easily. Then it would be great. Bai Luo could take Duotu and Mondo away from this dangerous place. Swish. When the white light flashed, Bai Luo closed his eyes habitually. After noticing that there was no movement, Bai Luo opened his eyes and observed the surroundings. The moment he opened his eyes and saw the situation around him, Bai Luo was stunned. Isn't this the inn where he stayed before? He is back again. Bai Luo was very happy to realize this. He didn't expect that he would return here. This is great. I'm back. Bai Luo stood up and observed the place where he used to live. He always felt that everything was friendly and good. Duotu and Mondo also stood up and looked at the excited Bai Luo in front of them. They just watched quietly and didn't disturb him. They were not familiar with this place and didn't know where this place was. They just wanted to follow Bai Luo. Yes, since I'm back, I must find our Yangzu first. It's the most important thing to meet up with them. Bai Luo was excited for a while. Thinking of this, he realized that he should find our Yangzu and the others first. It's the most important thing, and he shouldn't be excited here blindly. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that his idea was right. Bai Luo turned around and began to look for our Yangzu and the others inside according to his memory. Thinking of this, Bai Luo turned around and walked inside, ready to find our Yangzu and the others. At this time, he couldn't hide his excitement in his heart, and he didn't know what would happen next. After walking in, Bai Luo found something wrong. There were obviously many people here before he left, and our Yangzu was also here. How come there was no one here? Bai Luo continued to look for her, but after another search, he still couldn't find our Yangzu. There were even few people here. This situation made him very confused. What's the situation? Where are the people? How come there are not many people here? Something is wrong. Bai Luo was full of doubts. Why can't he see so many people here? He thought it must be wrong. Bai Luo, who was full of doubts, thought of the system. Since he couldn't find anyone, the system must know where everyone went. Why is he still looking here stupidly? Why not ask the system? Thinking of this, Bai Luo summoned the system and prepared to ask about the situation here. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. Hey, do you know where our Yangzu and the others went? Why are all the people here gone? Bai Luo just wanted to know why all the people here disappeared. He finally came back, and there was no one here. Wasn't he happy for nothing just now? Hearing Bai Luo's question, the system answered truthfully. Something special has happened recently. Our Yangzu and the others have gone out to explore. That's why there aren't many people here. Bai Luo understood what the system said. That's why he came back and saw that there were so few people. He was so scared that he thought something had happened to them. since nothing happened, but they went out to explore. Bai Luo was relieved for the time being. As long as nothing happened, it would be fine. If you go out to explore, you will always come back. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 567, Teaching Two People to Practice Kung Fu. Knowing the result, Bai Luo stopped looking for Aoyangzu and the others. Since he couldn't find them, Bai Luo could only take Duo 2 Mundo with him, and let them follow him in first. When he arrived at Duo 2 Mundo, Bai Luo realized that when he came in to find Aoyangzu just now, he didn't bring them with him, and let them wait for him outside. So he hurried back to find them. After coming out, he saw Duo 2 Mundo waiting for him quietly. Bai Luo prepared to take the two of them in first. Come on, follow me in first. Bai Luo stood in front of the two and asked them to follow him in first. I wanted to take you to find Aoyangzu and the others, but something special happened around them. They went to explore and are not here for the time being. I can only take you in first. When they come back, I'll take you to see them. Bai Luo said as he led the two of them in, ready to take them in first. He couldn't let the two of them wait here all the time. He didn't know when Aoyangzu and the others would come back. Soon, Bai Luo came in with Duo 2 Mundo. Duo 2 Mundo remained silent. They were full of curiosity about this unknown place. Fortunately, they followed Bai Luo in, which made them feel more at ease. After all, they had already felt Bai Luo's kindness to them just now, and they would not have any hostility towards Bai Luo anymore. They also knew that Bai Luo was kind-hearted. After bringing the two people in, Bai Luo did not immediately react to find some food for them. It was only when he saw the two thin figures standing there looking around in restraint that he remembered that they should still be very hungry. By the way, you are still very hungry, right? Wait, I will find you some food. After Bai Luo finished speaking, he went to prepare food for them. After all, it was the place where he lived before. Even if there was no one, he knew where the food was placed, so he went to prepare it for them directly. Duo 2 Mundo looked at Bai Luo's back as he left, still silent, waiting for Bai Luo to find them food. They were indeed still very hungry, but they just didn't say it. Not long after, Bai Luo came back with a lot of food and placed it in front of the two. Eat quickly, these are all edible, but since no one else is here, these are the only foods. Eat first, and I'll take you to eat something else later. Seeing the food that Bai Luo brought back, Duo 2 and Mundo were shocked. So much food was given to them, which made them feel a little flattered. After all, they and Bai Luo just met by chance. Bai Luo had just helped them, and now he gave them so much food. The two were really moved. Brother Bai, thank you, you are such a good person. Duo 2 looked at the food in front of him and thanked Bai Luo sincerely. He felt that Bai Luo was simply their savior. How could he be so good to them? Yes, Brother Bai, you not only took us away from there, but also gave us so much food. We are so moved that we don't know how to thank you. Mundo had tears in his eyes when he spoke. He was sincerely grateful to Bai Luo, but he didn't know how to thank him. Bai Luo waved his hand and quickly stopped the two from doing this. He didn't want them to be grateful to him. Since you are here, just stay here. Don't be so polite. Eat quickly. Bai Luo also picked up a piece of food and took a bite of it himself, worried that they would be embarrassed to eat if he didn't eat. Sure enough, after hearing what Bai Luo said, the two of them stopped being shy and followed Bai Luo to eat. After eating, Bai Luo began to think about what they should do next. They couldn't just sit around like this. This was not Bai Luo's style. As for these two people, Bai Luo always felt that Duo 2 and Mundo couldn't go on like this. They had to protect themselves and not be so weak all the time. After eating, Duo 2 and Mundo saw that Bai Luo was also sitting and resting, and they were no longer as reserved as when they first came. They lay down on the ground and prepared to rest. Seeing the two of them so lazy, Bai Luo was more certain that he must not let them be lazy like this, otherwise they would still be so vulnerable when they encountered something. They met him this time, but what about next time? If they didn't meet anyone, wouldn't they be in danger? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that his idea was right. Bai Luo decided in his heart that he would let the two of them practice with him and not let them do nothing like this. Besides, there were only 3 of them here, and they had nothing to do. Bai Luo felt that now was the best time to practice, so he decided to take the 2 of them to practice together. Since he had brought the 2 back, he certainly wasn't going to drive them away, and Bai Luo wouldn't let them just stay like that. There are only 3 of us here now, so we can't just sit there and do nothing, right? I've decided that from today on, the 3 of us will practice together. Bai Luo told them his decision, thinking that he would get their unanimous agreement, but he didn't expect that. After waiting for a long time, he still didn't get any response from them. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR published this novel for the first time. Bai Luo looked over and saw the 2 of them looking at him in disbelief, as if what he had just said was difficult to understand. What's wrong? Is there any problem? Bai Luo didn't know what they were thinking, but he still asked patiently. He had already made plans to take the 2 of them to practice together. We practice with you? Is this really necessary? Duo 2 asked Bai Luo, very hesitant. Of course, you are still very weak now. Practicing can strengthen your body and enable you to protect yourself. Bai Luo had many considerations for letting them practice. He felt that they should not be idle. At least they should be able to protect themselves. Practicing is the best result, and now is the best time to practice. Let's start now. Seeing that the 2 did not speak, Bai Luo urged them to start now. Anyway, they were full and had nothing to do now, so they might as well start practicing early. After all, they were reluctant to do it. Although the 2 were reluctant in their hearts, they did not say anything. They were just a little lazy when Bai Luo was not staring at them. Bai Luo did not expect that the 2 would be reluctant. They started practicing on their own. From time to time, he would observe the 2 and soon discovered their laziness. You can't do this. You must cheer up and work harder. Only in this way can you succeed. Seeing the 2 lazy, Bai Luo was not angry. He did not think there was anything wrong with them. At the beginning, they always had to be given time to adapt. Hearing Bai Luo say this, the 2 of them might be a little more serious, but after all, it was not something they wanted to do. When Bai Luo was not paying attention to them, they would still be unserious and lazy. Are you tired? You can take a break. When you practice again later, you must be more serious. Bai Luo was still patiently teaching them, hoping that they could be more serious and not be so lazy. Chapter 568, Strange Situation. In fact, Bai Luo did all this just to hope that they could be more serious and make progress faster. Maybe it was because of Bai Luo's previous help to them, or maybe it was because of Bai Luo's perseverance that the 2 finally began to take the practice seriously. The 2, no longer lazy, began to practice with Bai Luo seriously and began to hope that they could make progress. As soon as Bai Luo said, the 2 began to take it seriously, and Bai Luo nodded with satisfaction. He was very pleased with their performance and felt that his efforts just now were not in vain. They really listened to his advice. During the practice, Bai Luo had been observing the 2 of them, thinking that if they had any questions, he could find them in time and answer them. But before the 2 asked him questions, Bai Luo found that their progress seemed to be faster than he thought, and they were able to complete more movements than he expected. You are in very good shape, and I find that you are quite talented. You are making progress very quickly. Bai Luo couldn't help but start to praise the 2, thinking that they should need his praise now. Really? Brother Bai? Mondo asked Bai Luo with a smile. He didn't expect that they were actually very talented. Bai Luo said so it couldn't be wrong. Bai Luo nodded and encouraged them again. I found that your strength has increased very fast. Such a fast growth in such a short time shows that you are very talented. Keep going. I believe you will soon be able to break through yourself. Bai Luo said all the truth. He was really happy to see such a scene. He didn't expect that the 2 of them could grow so fast in such a short time. They were also very happy to hear Bai Luo's praise for the 2 of them. Okay, it's noon already. Take a break and continue in the afternoon. Seeing that it was already noon, Bai Luo asked the two of them to take a break. Since they were making rapid progress, there was no need to be so anxious. Then can we go out for a walk, Brother Bai? Duo 2 asked Bai Luo. They had wanted to go out for a walk for a long time, but they had never had the chance. Now they thought of this, after taking a break. Bai Luo thought about it, and realized that he hadn't taken them out for a walk, since they came here. Now was indeed a good opportunity. He should take them around. Come on, I'll go with you, and take you around. Bai Luo took the two of them out, and prepared to take a walk. Before they had walked far, a strange strong wind suddenly appeared. The wind was strong. Bai Luo realized that something was wrong, and reminded the two to hold on to themselves. Hold my arm tightly, I will take you out of here. Bai Luo led the two to walk out, and leave this wind outlet. After his efforts, he did struggle, and left the wind outlet just now. The wind gradually became much weaker. Bai Luo, who finally had time to take a breath, wanted to ask about the two people's situation, but as soon as he turned around, he saw that only Mondo was behind him. Where is Duo 2? Why don't I see him? Bai Luo asked Mondo. Seeing Mondo's confused expression, he knew that he definitely didn't know. Bai Luo immediately panicked. Duo 2 lost contact, and didn't know where he went in the chaos. Hurry, we must find Duo 2, as soon as possible. Bai Luo began to worry. Duo 2 didn't know the situation here, and he didn't know what the strong wind was just now. He quickly took Mondo to continue searching. The two walked along the road just now while looking, just wanting to find Duo 2 as soon as possible to know if he was safe. What is that? Mondo saw something familiar from afar, so he pointed to the direction of a cave and asked Bai Luo. According to the direction of Mondo's finger, Bai Luo walked over and saw what Mondo said, which was nothing else but the fragments of Duo 2's clothes. This is a fragment of Duo 2's clothes. Is Duo 2 in this cave? Should we go in and take a look? Mondo wanted to rush in, but after what happened just now, he became cautious. The situation here is unknown, and no one knows when danger will occur. If he wants to go in, he must get Bai Luo's consent. After all, Bai Luo is the person who is most familiar with this place, and he is still worried about whether there will be danger here. Seeing the fragments of clothes on the ground, Bai Luo also recognized that this is indeed the fragment of Duo 2's clothes. Since it appeared at the entrance of the cave, it means that the most likely place for Duo 2 to appear is in this cave. Let's go in and take a look. Bai Luo decided to go in and take a look. No matter what the situation is, he can only know it by going in. The two entered the cave, and there was no danger as imagined. Soon they found Duo 2 dying in the cave. Duo 2. Duo 2. Mondo rushed over and saw Duo 2 dying. Tears fell uncontrollably. They came here together. What would he do if Duo 2 died? Bai Luo also rushed over to check. Seeing Duo 2's condition, he did not delay and started to treat Duo 2. After all, he was seriously injured. If he was not treated in time, his life would be in danger. After Bai Luo's treatment, Duo 2 gradually regained consciousness and was able to speak. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. You won. Duo 2. Great, you finally woke up. Mondo was very excited. Seeing Duo 2 return to normal, he was happy all of a sudden. Duo 2, how did you appear here? How did you get injured? Bai Luo was not affected. He still remembered his doubts. He was clearly the one who brought them to just now. How could Duo 2 appear here by himself? Duo 2 tried to recall and answered Bai Luo in his weak voice. I don't know. I just heard a voice calling me. I was curious, so I wanted to go and see. I don't know how I ended up here. Duo 2 answered like this. Bai Luo was also confused when he heard Duo 2's explanation. How could such a situation happen? This was something he had never experienced before, and he didn't know the specific situation. Okay, let's go back to the inn. It doesn't look very safe here. Bai Luo only knew that in this situation, he should go back to the inn first. He took the two back to the inn quickly. Bai Luo asked Duo 2 to rest first, and did not forget to remind them. Don't go out randomly in the future to prevent danger. Bai Luo thought about the situation that had happened here and thought it might be related to this. He still hoped that they would not go out randomly, otherwise they would definitely encounter danger. The two nodded in agreement. After what happened today, they also realized the danger and would definitely not run around. After giving instructions, Bai Luo asked them to rest, and he also went to rest. He still had to think about what happened today, but not long after resting, the roars of some wild beasts made them nervous. They didn't know why such a sound appeared. Chapter 569 Bai Luo's warning. What's that sound? After being treated by Bai Luo and resting for a while, Duo 2's body had almost recovered. When he heard the sound, he was attracted by it. How about we go out and take a look? Mondo was obviously attracted by the sound, thinking about going out to see what the sound was. At this time, they had forgotten Bai Luo's instructions and just wanted to know what the sound was. Let's go and take a look. Mondo's proposal made Duo 2 agree without thinking. The two got up and walked out. Bai Luo reacted and quickly stopped them. Don't go out. The situation is unclear now. I don't know if there will be danger. Stay here. Bai Luo reminded the two that they didn't know if there was any danger outside, so they couldn't go out at this time. But it was useless. They just wanted to go out and take a look. They just wanted to know what was roaring. They were like possessed by evil and ignored Bai Luo's words. Bai Luo saw that his words were useless, so he started to pull the two people, but it was still useless. They still went out. Bai Luo didn't dare to go out. Now he is watching the two people in the inn. While watching the two, Bai Luo discovered that a large number of footprints of the Warcraft people appeared on the ground without knowing when, which shocked him. What's going on? How can there be so many footprints of the Warcraft people? Damn. Although Bai Luo was very confused, he immediately realized that this situation was very dangerous. Bai Luo realized that it was very dangerous and quickly activated the defense formation. He was still helpless about this matter. The main thing was that Mondo and the other two ran away. But Bai Luo also realized at this time that he might not be able to hold on for long with his own strength. At this time, Bai Luo thought of the system. Maybe he could let the system give him some pills so that he could do it. Hey, give me some pills quickly. I'm afraid I can't hold on for long in this situation. Bai Luo reminded the system that he should give him some pills and waited for the system to answer him. But after waiting for a while, he didn't get the system's answer. What's going on? You don't care about me? Bai Luo waited for a while, but still didn't get the system's answer. Realizing that the system might not answer him, he gave up. Thinking that Duo 2 and the other two were still outside, and there were people with magic beasts outside, it was easy to imagine how dangerous it was. Moreover, the strength of these two people was vulnerable. Thinking of this, Bai Luo did not delay for a moment and quickly pulled the two people back. While supporting the defensive formation, Bai Luo found the two people who walked out. Fortunately, he reacted quickly, and they did not go far, allowing Bai Luo to pull them back. After pulling them back, Bai Luo set up the defensive formation and prepared to talk to the two people about this matter. Doing so was simply too dangerous. What if he didn't have time to save them next time? Do you two know how dangerous it was just now? If I hadn't brought you back in time, the consequences would be disastrous. Remember, I'm saying this for the last time, don't go out easily. Do you hear me? Bai Luo warned the two people, asking them to remember that they must not go out easily. Otherwise, something dangerous might happen at that time. Having said that, Bai Luo felt that they would definitely remember what he said and would not run out easily again. No, we didn't want to go out just now. Duo 2 hurriedly explained, and only now did he realize that they didn't want to go out just now. Bai Luo looked at Duo 2 in confusion. What does this mean? What do you mean they didn't want to go out? He saw them go out with his own eyes. It's true that we didn't want to go out. We were out of control just now. It seems that there is a mysterious energy in the dark that is attracting us and making us go out. We can't control it. It would be fine if Duo 2 said this alone, but he didn't expect Mondo to say this too. Did he really blame them wrongly? Bai Luo asked himself in his heart. We really didn't lie. We couldn't control the mysterious energy just now. Duo 2 was afraid that Bai Luo didn't believe them, so he hurried to explain. Bai Luo nodded. It's not that he didn't believe them. The situation here is already unclear. It's not impossible for such a situation to occur. Maybe it's really like this. But why did this happen? What he wants to know is this. Hey, come out. Come and explain it quickly. What's going on? How could this happen? What is this mysterious energy? Come and explain it quickly. Bai Luo was very confused. He thought for a long time, but couldn't figure out why such a thing happened. He felt that, if he couldn't figure it out, the system must know. Maybe he could ask the system, and he would answer it for him. Wouldn't he know everything? Bai Luo thought so in his heart. He thought so and did so. Bai Luo asked the system directly. He thought that the system ignored him just now, because it didn't want to help him. But he didn't expect that this time. After waiting for a while, the system didn't answer him again. It would be fine once, but it was still like this time, which made Bai Luo very angry. I really gave you face. You didn't answer me 3 times. Do you think I'm easy to bully? Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar published this novel. Fuck your broken system. I don't need you. I can still deal with such a situation. You'd better not come out. If you come out next time, I will scold you to death. Bai Luo was angry and wanted to scold this system. This system that only ignored him made him angry. But no matter how angry he was, the problem still had to be solved. Since the system ignored him, he must solve these problems by himself. No matter why the situation happened just now, only the 2 of them were forcibly taken out, and he had no image at all, which showed that their strength was not enough. If this is really the case, and if he does not take measures, will they still be affected by this situation and be taken out? Bai Luo thought about it carefully. It is not that such a situation will not happen, but it is very likely to happen. If such a thing really happens, it is unknown how dangerous it will be. Thinking of this, Bai Luo felt that he must think of a way to prevent such a thing from happening again. At this time, Bai Luo thought of the barrier. Maybe he could make a few more barriers, and the external factors would not affect the 2 of them, and they would not be forcibly taken out. You 2 rest here, don't run around. Bai Luo reminded Dotamundo and the others again, and then left to set up the barrier. He thought this was a good way to ensure that the 2 would not be taken away again. After Bai Luo left, he set up a lot of barriers everywhere in the inn to prevent the 2 from being taken away. After setting up the barriers, Bai Luo felt relieved. Chapter 570, Pretending to Beg for Mercy. Afterwards, Bai Luo, who was about to go back, was suddenly attracted by several people. Bai Luo found that there were several people wandering around the inn, which made him alert. He felt that these people might have something wrong, and might not be good people. Realizing this, Bai Luo also observed these people deliberately, trying to figure out their purpose, and why they were close to the inn. But after staring at them for a while, Bai Luo did not find anything unusual. He just found that these people were just wandering around, without any rules, and did not do anything else. This made Bai Luo even more confused, but his vigilance against them did not disappear. Instead, he felt that they looked more and more like bad guys. If they were really bad guys, they must not be allowed to succeed. Bai Luo felt that they could not be allowed to wander around the inn like this, and they must be driven away. Bai Luo, who regarded these people as bad guys, no longer hid aside to observe, but directly found them and approached them. After approaching these people, Bai Luo spoke. Who are you? What's your purpose in approaching the inn? I warn you, don't wander around here anymore. This is not a place for you. Get away from here quickly, otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. In order to get these people to leave here, Bai Luo came up and warned them directly. He thought that perhaps only in this way could they realize that this was not a place they should stay. When he spoke, Bai Luo's expression was serious enough and his attitude was stiff enough. Logically speaking, most people would be a little scared when seeing such a situation, and then leave here directly. But these people did not react in this way. Instead, they were not afraid of Bai Luo at all, which surprised Bai Luo. It seemed that this method did not work on these people. But on second thought, Bai Luo thought again, maybe his attitude was not strong enough, or his expression was not fierce enough. Why did these people not react at all? Hey, I'm talking to you. Don't play dumb. I'm not trying to scare you. I'll keep my word. If you don't listen to my advice and leave here, and stay here, I will definitely be rude. Bai Luo decided to try again. He didn't believe that his words would still make them indifferent. How could they not be afraid? I thought this was fierce enough, but I didn't expect that. After saying these words, Bai Luo stared at these people and still couldn't see any reaction from them. Hey, he has a bad temper. Bai Luo couldn't stand it anymore. He had already said this, but they still didn't react. Was it because they didn't give him face, or were they not afraid of what he said? After all, Bai Luo was a man of some strength. How could he let them treat him like this? He definitely couldn't stand it. Even if he was not sure whether these people were bad guys, he had to teach them a lesson. Originally, Bai Luo was thinking that he would just scare these people. What if they were not bad guys? It would be bad if he took action directly. Now it seems that no matter whether they are bad guys or not, Bai Luo is not going to give them face. Since you don't take soft or hard, don't blame me for being rude. Bai Luo reminded them before taking action, and then rushed out and prepared to attack them. Bai Luo was angry and left the inn directly. After seeing Bai Luo preparing to take action, the other party also stood up and prepared to fight against Bai Luo, who rushed up. Bai Luo was about to punch the man in the face, but before he could touch him, the man turned around and dodged, allowing Bai Luo to rush out. Bai Luo didn't give up, and he raised his leg to kick him, thinking that he would definitely kick the man this time, but he made a mistake again and still didn't touch the man. The consecutive mistakes made Bai Luo even angrier, and now he didn't care about so much, just wanted to defeat the man. Bai Luo made another move. This time he went directly to the man's chest. If he could hit the man's chest, he would definitely be unable to get up for a while. With such a wishful thinking, Bai Luo still failed. He didn't use all his strength to hit the man, but let him dodge. The two of them went back and forth. Not only Bai Luo failed to hit the man, but the man also failed to really hit Bai Luo. I didn't expect it. He's quite strong. Bai Luo said this from the bottom of her heart. She really didn't expect that the man's strength was almost the same as hers. I thought I could teach them a lesson, but now it seems that I can't even defeat this person. Realizing this situation, Bai Luo felt that he couldn't go on like this, and he had to think of a way, otherwise he might suffer. Just when Bai Luo was about to think of a way to deal with this person, he suddenly seemed to sense that this person seemed to have some kind of artifact. Not sure if what he felt was right, Beelin himself had never really approached this person, but just felt it at the moment of the fight just now. If he wanted to be sure, he had to approach this person again. In order to confirm whether his feeling was right, Bai Luo decided to approach this person again to confirm his feeling. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. When he approached this person again, Bai Luo had the same feeling as before, but he was still not sure. From this point of view, it might be impossible to detect it just by approaching him. While dealing with this person, Bai Luo was thinking of a way in his heart. He felt that he had to think of a way to deal with this person, otherwise he really couldn't be sure whether he had a magic weapon. After thinking about it, Bai Luo thought that maybe he could pretend to surrender and let them relax their vigilance against him, so that he would have a chance to confirm whether he really had a magic weapon. Thinking of this method, Bai Luo did not surrender in a hurry. He was afraid that the other party would find out his plan after a few more moves with him, and when he obviously felt that he could not beat him, he began to implement his plan. No more fighting. I surrender. Bai Luo shouted, but the other party did not stop immediately, but attacked him with one move. Bai Luo made up his mind and did not dodge. Sure enough, when the other party was about to hit him, he suddenly avoided him and did not hurt him. I admit defeat. I really don't want to fight anymore. Let me go. Bai Luo spoke again, this time not only admitting defeat, but also begging for mercy. He did not believe that the other party would not believe him. Hearing Bai Luo say this, the other party really stopped directly. Humph, if you knew you couldn't beat me, you should have just admitted defeat. Why did you have to wait until now? If I hadn't stopped just now, I would have beaten you to death, understand? He didn't expect the other party to be so arrogant. Although Bai Luo couldn't bear to listen to it in his heart, in order to verify his guess, he still listened carefully to the other party's words that he didn't agree with, and kept agreeing with him. Chapter 571. Decisive Bai Luo. Yes, thank you for not killing me. Bai Luo said these words against his will, but he didn't want to have too much communication with this person in his heart, but he thought of his purpose and held back. I came here to discuss something with you. Did you think I was a bad guy just now? The other party ignored Bai Luo and walked in directly. He said he was discussing, but he didn't give Bai Luo a chance to speak. Looking at this person's behavior, Bai Luo was almost unable to hold back his anger, but in order to verify his guess, he couldn't help it. Countless times in his heart, he frantically reminded himself that he must hold back and not be impulsive. Otherwise, if he begged for mercy and admitted defeat, wouldn't it be in vain? It's my fault. You were just strolling around here. There have been some unsafe things here recently. I mistakenly thought you were bad people, so I said that. Bai Luo explained his behavior just now, hoping that the other party could completely trust him and relax his vigilance. Hearing Bai Luo say this, the other party had indeed completely relaxed his vigilance. In addition to the phenomenon that Bai Luo just showed that he couldn't beat him, he had completely relaxed his vigilance. I was just taking people to observe urine. Through observation, I found that urine is very good. The other party was still walking in and did not say what his purpose was. Bai Luo, who was already a little confused after hearing this, wanted to know what his purpose was, but he felt that he could not ask directly, so he did not ask directly. You are too kind. This place is not a good place. There are often accidents around here. Bai Luo always felt that this person must have bad intentions, so he said this. I like urine. I want to buy urine at a low price. Unexpectedly, this person really set his ultimate goal. Hearing this, Bai Luo understood that this should be what the person said he wanted to discuss with him. So this is what he thought. Okay, since you like it, I will give it to you. Bai Luo did not object and pretended to agree with her, but in his heart he was thinking about how to deal with this person. Seeing that this person had started to walk in, Bai Luo was ready to seize the opportunity and kill this person so that he would have no worries. Thinking that this person was as powerful as himself just now, Bai Luo felt that perhaps this was the safest way. When this person walked in again, Bai Luo was sure that he had completely relaxed his vigilance against him. Seeing that now was the best time, he suddenly rushed to this person, found his weakness accurately and ruthlessly, and killed him directly. When Bai Luo was doing these things, Duo Tu and the other two who happened to be watching the scenery by the window saw this scene. Look. Duo Tu couldn't hide his inner shock. He couldn't hide his shock anymore. He never thought that Bai Luo would do such a thing. Not only Duo Tu, but Mondo, who was standing next to him, also saw such a scene and was also shocked. How could he do this? Mondo didn't expect Bai Luo to do such a thing. Although the two were shocked, they didn't do anything else. In addition to being shocked, they were also quite scared. After all, they were here and seemed powerless to resist. Seeing this person being killed, the people who were traveling with him were also shocked. They had no other reaction. Now they just wanted to escape. Seeing this, several people began to flee in all directions. Bai Luo naturally saw it and would definitely not let them leave like this. He reacted very quickly and began to stop them. Wait. Don't leave yet. Bai Luo stopped one of them and used a barrier to stop the rest, staring at them. What do you want to do? Seeing this, several people panicked. What do you think? Bai Luo gave a sharp look after saying this. The other party collapsed to the ground instantly, and they couldn't help but start to worry. No, to be precise, they have always been worried about their own safety. Or rather, this feeling has always been shrouded in each of them. Big brother, we all know that we are wrong, so can you please? Puff. Before the man finished speaking, he instantly fell into a pool of blood. For Bai Luo, these are all enemies, especially at present. He is not very clear about what happened around him and why Ao Hangzhou and others disappeared for no reason. By the way, at this moment, Bai Luo suddenly stopped. According to his original plan, he wanted to continue to eliminate the other few people, but Bai Luo always felt that it was not good, so he tried to say to them, "Why don't you explain your identity and the purpose of coming here first? Do you think we will tell it?" Who knew that the other party was so arrogant? After hearing this, Bai Luo shook his head, frowned, and the murderous look on his face became even stronger. At the same time, Duotu and Mondo were actually watching all this. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. First of all, they never thought that Bai Luo would be so fierce. Secondly, they also felt that the person in front of them really didn't look like Bai Luo. "What about you? And you?" Seeing that the two didn't respond, Bai Luo had already made up his mind. Hiss, the sword rose and fell, and the other two also had the same ending as that person. This. At this point, Mondo and the other two showed painful expressions on their faces. For a moment, they didn't know what to say. "You two, don't stand there, come here." While speaking, Bai Luo untied the barrier for them. Although they had already heard Bai Luo's words, the two didn't dare to make a sound. "Come here quickly, what's wrong?" Seeing this, Bai Luo frowned again, still not understanding why the two reacted like this. Of course, Bai Luo did not plan to ask the two again, but continued to think. Half an hour later, Bai Luo had cleaned up some traces of what happened here. Finally, Bai Luo turned around and looked at the artifact in front of him. He recalled everything that happened before and always felt that all these things seemed to be connected, but now he seemed to have no way to find out. But Bai Luo did not intend to ignore this matter, because Mondo and Duotu seemed to have some connection with this artifact, but this was just Bai Luo's guess, but he still felt a little uneasy. After all, now Bai Luo knew that he must be very cautious of all changes around him. If he was not careful, he might fall into someone else's trap. This artifact was also cleaned up by himself, and there was no danger here, so Bai Luo called Mondo and Duotu over. "Look at this artifact. I feel that this artifact is indeed a bit unpredictable. You have been here for a while. I wonder if you have any impression of these artifacts?" Chapter 570 To the Two Timid People. Bai Luo didn't think much about it, but just expressed his meaning clearly, but he didn't expect that Mondo and Duotu on the opposite side seemed unwilling to get close to here. They stood far away from Bai Luo, as if there was a beast here that would eat them, and the expressions on their faces looked very resistant. Seeing this situation, Bai Luo couldn't help but frown. Because he didn't find anything wrong, all the things here were solved by himself, and Bai Luo called them over, just to discuss this matter with them. "What are you doing? There is nothing that eats people here. Why don't you dare to come over? Come over quickly, and take a good look at this artifact. I feel that this thing is really evil. Let's discuss it, and see how to deal with it." Mondo shook his head. It's not that he didn't want to listen to Bai Luo's words, but they felt a very powerful magical power on the artifact here. This power also made him feel very uncomfortable, so he didn't want to get close to it. "Bai Luo, it's not that we don't want to come here. We can feel the overbearing and strange power emanating from this artifact here, and this power seems to be pushing us forward. This feeling is very bad. That's why we don't come here. We always feel that something is going to happen." After hearing what Mondo said, Bai Luo couldn't help but frown and looked at the artifact beside him, and then tried to touch it. But nothing was wrong. It might be that Mondo and Duotu were just too sensitive. After all, a lot of things have happened recently, and Bai Luo was worried that they were too nervous. So Bai Luo just smiled, and then said to Mondo and Duotu very easily, "I have tried it just now, and there is no very strange power. So you don't have to worry too much. There will be no danger, and I don't need you to do anything. Just look at this artifact here. I also know that many unusual things have happened recently, but because of this, we need to deal with them." Although Bai Luo has said this, Mondo and Duotu are still frightened. After all, they clearly felt this power, but Bai Luo didn't seem to notice it. Seeing that the two did not move, Bai Luo couldn't help but urge them. Because he didn't understand what the two were afraid of, he couldn't sense any overbearing magical power. Don't dawdle, come and take a look at this artifact. There is absolutely no problem. And I'm still here. How could I let you get into danger? Didn't we easily resolve the things we encountered before? So you don't have to worry, come and take a look. Bai Luo has already said this. Duo2 and Mondo can't say anything more. After all, they still respected Bai Luo very much in their hearts, because Bai Luo had helped them more than once. If it weren't for Bai Luo's help, they didn't know whether they could live in this world now. So in the end, the two of them walked directly to the artifact. Although the power still existed, it was indeed as Bai Luo said, they did not suffer any other harm when they approached the artifact. Bai Luo on the side also felt that his guess was indeed correct. Although this artifact did look evil, it should not be a problem for ordinary people to approach it. But before Bai Luo could say anything, Mondo on the side pointed at Bai Luo's face and then reminded Bai Luo, "Bai Luo, there seems to be some blood on your face. It's next to your cheek, you should deal with it quickly." After hearing Mondo's words, Bai Luo subconsciously touched his face, and then a very sticky touch came from his hand. Looking at the blood on his hand, Bai Luo couldn't help but frowned. Because this blood was not the blood of an ordinary person, Bai Luo felt that it was unlucky. He didn't want these unlucky things to stay on his face for too long. "Thank you, then I will go and deal with this thing quickly. You guys stay here and look at this artifact first. I will come over quickly after I deal with these things." After saying this, Bai Luo turned around and dealt with the blood on his face. After he dealt with those people before, he really hadn't cleaned himself up properly. He was just anxious to deal with this artifact. It just so happened that he could take this opportunity to deal with these dirty things on his body. Thinking of this, Bai Luo couldn't help but speed up his pace. In a place that Bai Luo couldn't see, not far from them, a man in a black robe just stared at Bai Luo's direction, with a ferocious expression on his face, as if he was sure of victory. Although it was still daytime, the man's cold smile couldn't help but give people goosebumps. But he didn't make any moves now, just still looking at Bai Luo on the other side with this look. Bai Luo on this side had just cleaned the blood on his face, and then he felt a very hot gaze. This feeling made Bai Luo feel very uncomfortable, so he turned around quickly. But there was nothing behind him, and no one appeared nearby. Could it be that his nerves were too tense? That's why this illusion occurred. But Bai Luo also took this matter to heart, because he could feel that there were people around. But now he didn't find the trace of that person, so now it was just Bai Luo's guess, and he himself couldn't be sure if there would be other situations around. So Bai Luo didn't make any moves. After all, he didn't know where to start now. As for if he really found someone silently monitoring them later, that person would surely reveal his feet. So Bai Luo knew that he couldn't be anxious about this matter at all. After washing his face, Bai Luo went back to find Duo2 and Mondo. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 +_. These two people were very obedient. They were unwilling to approach the artifact at first. After Bai Luo persuaded them, they stayed here obediently. However, Bai Luo felt that there was nothing to do now, so he came over and asked them to leave together. "I have dealt with the situation over there, so let's leave it at that for now." After saying this, Bai Luo was about to turn around and leave, but at this time he found that the expressions on Mondo and Duo2's faces were not good. The lips of the two were very pale, especially Mondo on the side. Bai Luo felt that his face was sweating. After seeing this situation, Bai Luo naturally would not leave at this time. Chapter 573, Improvement. He didn't expect things to turn out like this. After all, he had just left for a while. He didn't expect the two people to look so bad now. Did something happen just now? Why do you look so bad? Did something happen just now? I didn't notice anything happened here when I was there. Why do I feel like you two are seriously injured? Mondo and Duo2 shook their heads almost at the same time. They really felt very uncomfortable now, but this uncomfortable feeling came suddenly. It was almost a feeling of soreness all over the body, but they couldn't tell what was wrong. We don't know what happened. We were fine just now, but then we suddenly felt a little breathless. It was a special pain in the chest, and then all the body was uncomfortable. After hearing Mondo's words, Bai Luo frowned tightly. He didn't expect such a thing to happen suddenly, and it happened so inexplicably. But now Bai Luo didn't know how to deal with them, so he quickly helped them down to rest. Since you are already feeling so uncomfortable, then you should go and rest quickly. If the situation doesn't get better later, come to me quickly. This matter is indeed very strange. I will see if I can find some solutions and I will try my best to cure you. After all, the current situation is not optimistic. You must be careful. Then Bai Luo took Mondo and Duo to back to rest, but Bai Luo knew that this matter must not be so simple. How could two people have physical problems at the same time? So Bai Luo thought about investigating this matter carefully. However, Bai Luo did not have any clues now. He knew that it was impossible to find out this matter by relying on his own strength, so Bai Luo thought of the system. After all, the system is a special existence in this world, and the system should know what is going on. So Bai Luo wanted to call the system directly, but the system did not give Bai Luo any response. Only Bai Luo's voice was left echoing in his ears. Bai Luo saw that the system did not pay attention to him at all, and then he could only sigh helplessly. However, Bai Luo had no way to deal with this system. After all, if the system didn't want to show up, Bai Luo had no way to pull it out. After trying to call the system several times, Bai Luo finally gave up. He looked at the place where Mondo and Duo were resting and recalled the special feeling he had just had there. Could these two things be related? After considering this, Bai Luo walked to the side of the inn. Then Bai Luo directly strengthened the barrier of the inn because he was not sure if there was anyone around who wanted to do it behind the scenes. Anyway, today's incident was a lesson for Bai Luo, but now Bai Luo had no way to investigate, so he could only strengthen the barrier around here and try his best to prevent other things from happening. Because Bai Luo couldn't deal with many things now, he could only go back to practice. However, Bai Luo's practice has been quite smooth recently. Although he encountered some difficulties, his skills have still improved a lot in the end. At night, Bai Luo was suddenly awakened by a roar. This sound was very abrupt in the quiet night. Bai Luo was also woken up directly, and then he ran in that direction. At this time, he also found that the direction from which the sound came was the place where Mondo and Duo rested. At this time, Bai Luo couldn't help but worry. After all, Duo and Mondo were in very bad physical condition during the day. If there were any other situation now, I'm afraid the situation would be even worse. Bai Luo couldn't help but speed up his pace and then came directly to this place. But as soon as he got here, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. He saw Mondo Zen attacking the surrounding things with disheveled hair, and it seemed that he was out of control. After seeing this situation, Bai Luo quickly turned around and looked at the surrounding situation. Because he didn't know what happened now, he had to find Duo next to him to ask clearly, so that he could deal with this matter properly later. But before Bai Luo could find Duo, who was hiding on the side just now, ran directly to Bai Luo. After that, he quickly took Bai Luo's hand and said to Bai Luo, please save Mondo. He was practicing just now, but he suddenly lost control and became like this. I feel like he has lost consciousness. If this continues, I'm worried that Mondo will be in danger of his life. It turned out that this situation was caused by practice. In fact, this situation is not uncommon among practitioners. In many cases, improper practice will lead to disorder or dislocation of meridians, which are very common. Mondo may have encountered such a problem. After understanding the whole story of this incident, Bai Luo also knew what to do. After all, Mondo's current situation should be because his meridians are too disordered, so Bai Luo directly controlled Mondo on the side and then input his spiritual power into Mondo's body. Bai Luo wanted to rely on his ability to help Mondo clear his meridians. But it was not until now that Bai Luo realized that things were not as simple as he thought. Because Bai Luo had slowly input his spiritual power into Mondo's body just now, But at this time he discovered that there was another force in Mondo's body that was competing with him. Could it be that this power was the reason why Mondo was in this situation just now? Thinking of this, Bai Luo quickly stopped what he was doing. After all, if he continued to input spiritual power, it might only make things worse. Bai Luo never thought that this would happen. He saw that the expression on Mondo's face became even uglier, and he seemed to be in great pain. Finally, Bai Luo thought of something, and quickly took out some pills from his pocket. Since there was no way to input spiritual power, he could only try these pills that could regulate spiritual power. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. Bai Luo quickly fed these pills to Mondo. What made Bai Luo feel relieved was that Mondo's complexion had improved after taking the pills. Seeing this scene, Bai Luo couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. After all, the situation just now did look a little scary. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 574, Systems Words. Mundo, how do you feel now? Are you still feeling uncomfortable? After all, what happened just now made Bai Luo quite worried about Mundo's physical condition. Although Mundo's face looked a little ugly, he just shook his head in the end. I feel much better now. It was really uncomfortable before, and I felt that my body was going to explode. But after taking these pills, I feel that my spiritual power is much smoother, so there shouldn't be any problems later. After hearing Mundo's words, Bai Luo couldn't help but feel relieved. Anyway, it was the best situation that no one was hurt. It was getting late now, and Bai Luo felt that there was no need for him to stay here all the time, and Mundo beside him also needed to rest. Then I'll leave first, and you should also take good care of your body. Anyway, it takes 100 days to heal a broken bone, and you should have suffered a lot of injuries just now, so you should also pay attention to yourself. After leaving Mundo's room, Bai Luo originally planned to go back to rest directly, but he didn't expect to be stopped by Duo2 on the other side. Bai Luo didn't think much about it, but just said with some curiosity, "Everything here has been settled. Do you have something else to talk to me about?" Duo2 nodded. He did have something else important to tell Bai Luo. Otherwise, he would not have stopped Bai Luo at this time. After all, it was late and Bai Luo needed to rest. I didn't sleep well last night. I felt that I couldn't sleep, no matter how hard I tried. I always felt that something was strange. Bai Luo couldn't help laughing after hearing Duo2's illogical words. He originally thought that Duo2 had something important to tell him, but he didn't expect that he just told him that he couldn't sleep. But before Bai Luo could say anything, Bai Luo found that there was a very strange smell in the air. This smell was not very pleasant. Bai Luo had never smelled it before, but this smell was very strong, which made Bai Luo pay attention. This smell seemed to come from the barrier. After realizing this, Bai Luo frowned and walked in that direction. Because this was not a good sign, the same situation suddenly appeared at this time, and Bai Luo couldn't help but wonder what happened over there. When he walked over, he found that some small spirit beasts were walking towards them. In fact, it was not shocking to see these spirit beasts in the jungle, but these spirit beasts seemed to be relatively weak. Bai Luo could notice from a distance that these spirit beasts seemed to have been injured and had no ability to attack. But before Bai Luo could think about it, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. Because these spirit beasts seemed to have some obsession with this place, they had set up some barriers in this inn. But unexpectedly, these spirit beasts simply ignored the barriers and directly crashed into them. After crashing into them, they were still unwilling to give up, and then continued to walk towards the barrier, and then there appeared a scene of these weak spirit beasts crashing into the barrier again and again. They were ruthless, and Bai Luo knew that these spirit beasts were using all their strength to crash into the barrier. What was going on? Bai Luo knew very well that spirit beasts were spiritual, so how could they hurt their bodies like this? But these spirit beasts did not have any intention of stopping, and they just used their bodies to crash into the barrier again and again. Afterwards, many weak spirit beasts fell to the ground and finally died here. Bai Luo did not understand why they did this, and this did not make sense at all. Bai Luo would not open this barrier now. After all, this was the last barrier to ensure their safety. But I did not know what would happen next, so in the end I could only watch the whole process of this incident from inside. Looking at the corpses of these spirit beasts on the ground, Bai Luo's face became gloomy. He felt that all these things were not simple at all, and it seemed that everything was pointed out. But now Bai Luo had no clue, he only knew that something bad seemed to be happening. Because the things that happened recently were really strange, almost over and over again. Some inexplicable things happened. Just when Bai Luo was still thinking about this, the ground suddenly shook violently, and the amplitude of the shaking was very large. Suddenly there was an earthquake. It was a high-intensity earthquake. Bai Luo only felt that the time when this incident happened was very suspicious, but fortunately this incident would not affect himself and the inn, because the inn was very solid and would not be affected by the earthquake. These earthquakes did not threaten the inn, so Bai Luo did not think that this matter was that serious. But before Bai Luo could relax, he heard another rumbling sound. It was a few loud noises coming from behind him. Bai Luo quickly turned around and found that the rocks on the mountain were loosened due to the earthquake and then rolled down from the mountain and hit the barrier of the inn directly. Now the inn was not affected by the rolling rocks, but Bai Luo found that the rocks were falling from above continuously. So Bai Luo was still a little worried whether these rocks would affect the inn. After all, Bai Luo could not be sure whether the barrier would be affected if these rocks continued to fall like this. Of course, these are all later. The most important thing at the moment is to figure out what caused all this to happen. System, get out here. This time Bai Luo was quite angry. In fact, he was quite confused and speechless before this. It was just that there were other things going on at that time, but now it was different. Bai Luo had basically solved all the difficult issues, so he could calm down and question this guy. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. Ding. At this moment, Bai Luo finally waited for the other party, and the system's voice began to sound. You guy, you are really a dog. What does it look like not to come out all day? Even though Bai Luo was very angry, he also knew that he couldn't annoy the gentleman in front of him, otherwise the situation would still not be optimistic. There is an important task to be given to you, and there will be more in the future. Stop, stop, stop. Before the system finished speaking, Bai Luo hurriedly stopped. If you complete it smoothly, you can improve your cultivation, and there are more good things. Oh, really? After these words came out, Bai Luo trembled, and his heart trembled a little. Chapter 575. Something is wrong. But these are all later. For the time being, you need to continue to pass the level. As soon as the voice fell, the system stopped making any sound. Hearing this, Bai Luo was speechless. For a moment, he really wanted to tear the system apart. But people can't see or touch it, so even if Bai Luo really has that idea, it's useless. Half a cup of tea later. In fact, Bai Luo couldn't rest assured at all, so he kept checking the situation here. As long as there was a slight accident, he could react immediately. Bai Luo has been observing the situation here silently. While he was still entangled in this matter, there was a very strong vibration under his feet. Bai Luo subconsciously looked at the ground. It would have been better if he didn't look at it. He was shocked when he saw it. There were cracks on the ground. Bai Luo thought it was just an ordinary earthquake before, but he didn't expect that the cracks on the ground had already appeared. So Bai Luo knew that things were definitely not that simple. He didn't expect the situation to be so serious, so Bai Luo also felt that they couldn't stay here any longer. After all, the situation is very complicated now, and he doesn't understand why things have become like this. But now the facts are in front of them. If they don't leave now, Bai Luo can't guarantee what will happen here. Now that the ground has already appeared in this situation, it is believed that what will happen later will be more difficult to deal with. After thinking about this matter, Bai Luo turned around and left. Because he has decided to evacuate now, Bai Luo plans to call Mondo and Duo to leave together. Although Bai Luo has helped Mondo to recover from the problem of training before, he was injured after all, so Bai Luo has been letting him rest there. Now the situation is so urgent, Bai Luo is still worried about their safety. Thinking of this, Bai Luo couldn't help but speed up his pace and rush to Mondo and Duo at a very fast speed. On the way there, Bai Luo found that the situation was getting worse and worse because the cracks on the ground were getting bigger and bigger. But now Bai Luo had no choice but to rush there as quickly as possible. He had just run to the inn, and then he saw Mondo and Duo running over. They must have noticed something was wrong. After all, the situation here was very obvious. After seeing that they had escaped, Bai Luo hurried forward and explained the situation here. It's great that you can run out. Let's leave here quickly. The situation here seems to be beyond our expectations. This is a little more serious than I thought, so we can't stay here any longer. Let's go quickly, otherwise I don't know what will happen later. Mondo and Duo naturally knew that the situation was very bad. After hearing Bai Luo's words, they nodded immediately. Then they followed Bai Luo to run in another direction. But before they ran a few steps, the situation here developed in a direction that was becoming more and more uncontrollable. Just now, there were only very obvious cracks on the ground, but they didn't expect it to suddenly fall apart in the next second. The whole ground had cracked, and they couldn't react at all. The feeling of weightlessness on their feet suddenly came over, and the three of them were submerged in the earthquake. This change happened too suddenly, and Bai Luo didn't expect it at all. So soon their formation was interrupted, and Bai Luo could only fall down with the gravity of his body. But he knew that he couldn't let things develop like this, otherwise they would soon be submerged in the ruins. After all, the ground has collapsed now, and they must leave here quickly. If they are submerged here, they will not be able to escape at all. After that, Bai Luo quickly stabilized his body. Although it was a bit difficult, Bai Luo finally managed to do it. He knew that the situation of Mondo and Duo was definitely not good, so he quickly looked for Mondo and Duo's traces in the ruins. However, this area is not very large, so Bai Luo quickly found the two of them. After that, Bai Luo moved to the side of the two of them at a very fast speed and brought them up. When he decided to take them away, he knew that the things behind would definitely not be so simple. So Bai Luo prepared measures to protect them in advance. Since this place is so dangerous, Bai Luo directly set up a barrier to protect the safety of the three of them. This barrier protects them like a shield. This barrier is the barrier that Bai Luo set up before. The ground had collapsed, so Bai Luo used the barrier he had set up before to protect himself. Fortunately, the barrier was still very strong and more than enough to protect their safety. But Bai Luo knew that the barrier was not omnipotent, because the ruins around them were constantly hitting the barrier. Soon the barrier would not be able to withstand it, and they would not be able to find a place to protect them. Although it is indeed safe for us to hide inside now, but look at these ruins, which are constantly hitting the barrier. We have to find a way quickly. If we don't find a way to solve this dilemma, I think the barrier will soon be destroyed. By then, we will have no way out, and no way to leave here. After hearing Bai Luo's words, Duo and Mondo's expressions were not good. They knew that what Bai Luo said was indeed correct, and they had to find another way to leave here quickly. Otherwise, they could only wait to die here, which was something none of them wanted to see. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus BOOK_BAR published this novel for the first time. But they really have no other way now, so the expressions on their faces are very ugly. Mondo looked around nervously, and then he smelled the residual smell of gunpowder in the air. Because the situation happened too suddenly before, Mondo didn't notice the smell in the air at all, but he smelled it suddenly just now. After discovering this, Mondo also hurriedly said to Bai Luo beside him, "Bai Luo, I just smelled the residual smell of gunpowder in the air. I think this matter is very likely related to the earthquake that occurred this time. After all, the sudden appearance of gunpowder in the future, I think it is very likely related to the situation we are facing now." After hearing Mondo's words, Bai Luo's brain worked rapidly. He quickly received the information in Mondo's words. If this earthquake is really related to the gunpowder, then this matter is really manipulated by someone behind the scenes. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.